Goggles making some interesting moves. Intel as well. A lot of things kind of interesting here as, again, earnings season has dwindled to a bit of a close, but there's always like a 2-3 week gap where it's like, it's just, not necessarily hot names that give their earnings there. It's kind of bleak. But before you know it, that earnings season will be right back.
Absolutely. All right, you see the Katina man and the Neils showing up on the board. That means it is time for us to go. I will see everybody very shortly at the green screen. Take it over, gents.
Yes, sir. Welcome, everybody. And back to the afternoon show we go. So shout out to Obi and the goggles, I suppose. Trying to get a look at those markets there. Always enjoy having a little bit of fun there. I mean, it is what it is. Just always having a little bit of fun out there. Shout out to him. And obviously,
another indicator. I mean,
obviously, it's a bit of a. Okay, quickly here. Marvell is going right into resistance. Shreve was talking about Marvell, weak chip name, 3% to the downside. It's going right into morning resistance levels. So looking for the curl on Marvell, long story short. As far as why it's weak, doesn't matter. Ticking to the downside. It actually flat bottom broke 71 and a bit of a recovery, but still incredibly weak relative to the other chip names. But the market itself is green, but you have to be looking at the names that are going and the ones that we're moving today. That was certainly the story. Because not everything, there's a lot of sideways stocks that weren't worth paying attention to, but you had some that extended. This one heading to the downside. I'm going to try and pick this one up just so you can see 70, 71, 74, looking for an out there, but trying to catch this on the way back down into VWAP is Marvell. A bit of a new entrant for me as we were looking at this morning. It wasn't until Shreve mentioned it that I was paying attention to Marvell.
It's funny that Neil said you got to trade names that have been hot. Tesla, I told everybody, is the #1 stock here on the show. Obviously, nothing's changed there. #1 stock on the floor behind us. And now you come back, and I just reloaded another dollar in the money right now for Tesla, right there, off there. Here we go back up to the upside. So it's like, exactly, it is, we come back and I feel like we always talk about the same stuff, but this is actually, like putting stuff back to work. Like there's VWAP. We could talk about it, but there's like a real winning trade about what we've been talking about. So, I mean, it's just like, you got to wait for opportunities. Sometimes they're in the midday, sometimes they're not. I'm going to get another piece out here on Tesla as we're bouncing around 249. Oh, there it is. Cancel. Good. We did get filled there. So that was a good one. I didn't want to get overfilled. I realized we had another position at 249. So there's another out right there, just $1.20 ho-hum in the money right there. And then I don't know if Palantir, I have no idea what stocks are going to be on here either. But we were long already down here on the sticky note with Palantir. We got long again at 38. And right now we're long at 38. So upside there for Palantir as it continues to go. The best names just keep getting better. I mean, the trading keeps getting better over and over and over again. So again, even Shreve was mentioning it's not an easy day. It's not everybody's going to be up. Not everybody's going to be down. This is the life of a trader. Let's go back over now. If we're set up, let's go over and let's see what stocks you want us to talk about.
All right, guys, welcome to the afternoon rundown. A little bit of a delayed start here. We're going to thank Obi for joining us today on the midday show. This is the future right now. You can tell it's a bit of a consolidative day. We're still in Greensville, though, on the NQ, on the ES, and barely on the Dow. It is really the Russell here that has taken a turn into negative territory. About 0.5% or thereabouts down on the day is the Russell. But the first one here has been quite directional as of late. TSLA. Look at this move up from that Friday drop. Really no headline here to speak of except possibly some headlines out of the Biden administration that they're looking at putting restrictions on Chinese electric vehicle software and hardware. You thought that would have been negative for Tesla. That is not the case. This headline basically says that people are anticipating the Q3 deliveries. I'll also suggest to you that this is a nice move up, possibly into that October 10th robo-taxi event, guys.
Tesla, I mean, look, we just we made it as simple as possible. Like I said, it is going to be the #1 trade here, #1 trade for the office. #1 trade. I think it might have even been the #1 trade there on Friday as well. So we just come in here and it's pretty simple stuff, man. It's just we said the same thing. buy the 244 long break. We missed the 235 there on Friday, and we couldn't, sleep. Well, that's not true. We had a wicked day on Friday. End of the day, though, it's a nice move to the upside. There's the break that we took right here on Tesla. So there's the first break. Whoops. There it goes. There's a couple outs on the upside. We'll see where it continues now. We just reloaded Tesla again. So, so that's the TQs, which the TQs are also hot fire. But we just reloaded it down there on VWAP, and we got a piece out right there in front of you guys, again at 249. So, the best stocks continue, as Neil mentioned, man, trade the best names. Tesla today is the best name. So we're on it. It's the number one stock by far. It's 50 times the next one. Tesla continues to be awesome. Go everybody trading TSLA. It's been pretty smooth move, easy peasy. There's the first break live for you. We took it live on the show. Huge moves, man. Within a half hour, this trade was up $3, and then it continues to go. So we'll just continue to play strength. We're almost at VWAP now for the market. So Tesla's been a pretty good ride today. Let's just wait to see what happens the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's been a great ride, great trade, no question about it. And in the light of try to trade what's moving, there was just a headline on Boeing out here. It just spiked about $2 to the upside. Labor negotiations, they increased the general wage to 30%. So just some updates on the negotiations and improving the deal. And it looks like they're getting a bit of a spike. So I guess obviously they're trying to get this one across the finish line. There was some talk this morning about these negotiations running longer than anticipated, and essentially, they're losing a lot of money every single month that this does happen, and you can see the downward trend that they're trying to break out of. Good news for Boeing is it's up a couple of points. It was already looking strong going into this, and a consolidation break of previous highs. I'm looking dip back into 155. Wow, now it's breaking 156, but looking dip into 155, you can see the support on the 15-minute at that price. So looking for it to pull back a little bit and see if we can join it. Anytime Boeing tries to make a bottom, it's been so beaten up, doesn't really have to go all that far up to get some good percentage gains, given how nasty it has been. But this just hit the wires. Just an update on their negotiations.
Yeah, there's a headline Neil's talking about right here, guys. Boeing increases general wage by 30%, boosts 401k to match 100% of the first 8% of pay, and raises ratification bonus to $6,000 in an IAM labor negotiations. Obviously, we know the machinists were looking at walking off the job, and we were talking about hours or days until that strike could manifest. So good luck here for Boeing. We'll have to see how they perform the rest of the day. Thanks for bringing us that, Neil. Palantir up next on the rundown over here. Look at this, guys. We're printing highs, and there's a negative catalyst on this name today. Raymond James downgrading Palantir to market perform. I got into the reasons in the morning rundown, but the stock just doesn't care.
It's just, again, today Palantir was pretty easy again. It got going early, so you had to wait for it. There's that 37.50 that we waited for to break. We were able to take some profit on it, but then it just fell right back into VWAP. You guys know the chef cooks at that time. So there it is right there. It's just boom, boom. Upside, upside, upside continues to go. We took a 38 break. Palantir again, just what a great trade. I don't know why that's purple there. Palantir, great. Probably I had too many offers out, I guess. Great trading continues here on Palantir again. Another big stock there. I know Neil's going to show you maybe the other way around on this, but right now Palantir, good trade there. And, we trusted the long. It is our number one. Oh, actually, sorry. Apple's on here for the long, but number 2 idea, but they're not really ranked on the sticky note today was to go long 37.50. So if you're still in that trade, it's 50 cents to the upside now. Could be a little bit more than that. Did dip in. The stock would have only, so now you're in the money, 60 cents? It would have only dipped against you 20 cents. So far, so good on that relationship. But yeah, Palantir. Always could make more, but we made enough, and it is your number 3 stock. Nvidia will be number 2. So it'll be Tesla, Palantir, Nvidia, then Palantir. But position pending. Good trade there again on Palantir today.
Yeah, so first, I am no longer bidding Boeing. Boeing just broke 57. It's now way too far gone from the 155 level to even worry about. If it dips back $2 at this point, you're going to cross that bridge, and I don't know that I'd want it if it pulls all the way back into 155 at this point. So going to have to look for some kind of a support higher level when we get this news. So I did have it another way. I wanted one particular trade on this, and I looked back, and the part of the lesson of the day was, and I sort of said this, I should have taken this trade on Dell instead of Palantir. Now, obviously, I don't really trade Dell on a regular basis, but given the nature of, okay, I want to look for there to be a failed break after the addition to the S&P 500. So Palantir goes right in, wait for it to get to the double top. It goes to that high. There's your pullback. So I basically wait for it to run that top, go into the short. It gives a bit of a dip into 37.20 and then breaks out the high. Didn't have to reload it. Reload is why I'm red on it. If I didn't reload, then it would have been okay. But at the end of the day, that entire theory worked so much better for Dell for reasons that in some ways are obvious. Like Dell was already weaker. It didn't do as much of a move. It did get the addition and pretty much gave it all up in the afternoon. And then today, it came in here and couldn't even make a higher low break. Like it basically was trying to just go red to green and failing that. It closed at 117.5 and just kept failing that level. So if you took the high of the day fail break when it's trying to go red to green, that was a short that worked. You could have it at 9:30, but then you could have had it at 10 o'clock and you could have had it at 10:25. And really the difference between the two just comes down to, one of them was trending stronger with the same kind of idea, and the other one was relatively weak. So I always say, if you have the same setup, you usually want to put it on the weaker stock. So it should have been Dell. That's part of why it was the lesson of the day here today. And as I said about Boeing, I'm not going to, I don't want to chase this thing. It's already, like I said, it got to 157.5. Still feel like it's a relatively strong name. They're now calling this their best and final offer here. And look, I think this is going to run if they get this certainty. Obviously, just because they have an offer doesn't mean that this has been resolved, right? Like this still has to be accepted and ratified by the union.
And they have till 11:59 on Friday, Neil, p.m. to get that deal ratified. Otherwise, it's null and void. So thank you for bringing that up as well. SPY next on the rundown, and we had Kashkari talking about the 50 basis points cut this morning. Later on, we got Goolsbee, and here's what he said. Until this recent rate cut, falling inflation has meant the Fed has been tightening policy. The cut of 50 basis points starts to make sense. We're shifting back to a normal dual mandate mode. We're hundreds of basis points above the neutral rate. If conditions continue like this, there's a lot of cuts to come, guys, over the next 12 months. He goes on to say we have a long runway to come down to get the interest rates to something like neutral. I don't know. I thought that was pretty self-explanatory that we had to come down into neutral, but yeah, he made it official.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone sort of understands that you still have, nobody said that the battle is done with inflation. It was just that you're recalibrating to try to go for the other side of the mandate, which is essentially jobs, and you want to make sure you get in front of that. But if you look at what happened on Friday, come to the daily chart here for a second on the SPY. If you look at what happened on Friday, you basically had a little bit of a reversal candle that just holds on to the previous top, almost to the T, like 565 in here on the SPY, like it holds it, and then you get that higher low. So there's the dip on Friday, right into prior highs, and now you're just sort of gently trending up. So while it's obviously not, like it's a flat day in the market, right? You're still putting in a higher low and a bounce in a general sense. But I think you got to look at what's really going on here as to why you're having an inside day. Like you'll have things like Meta, which was churning and one of the strongest stocks out there for a lot of the morning, and then right back in. It's not red on the day, but it certainly gave a lot back. And you look over at something like a Microsoft, which is down on the day, and I don't want to say languishing, but 0.3 to the downside. You got Apple down 0.6. So while Nvidia is about to go green, while Tesla has been incredibly strong, while we're going to get to Amazon, while Amazon has also been strong, you're getting a mixed day. And that's the thing with the Mag 7. They're just not going together anymore. And you have to have the ability and the willingness, I think, sometimes to go both directions. Like you can be in an AMD long, and sorry, not AMD, I'm in AMD long right now, in an Amazon long while you're short Microsoft because they're just trending in different directions. And I think as long as we're kind of hanging out at this high, recognize that all these different names have done seriously different types of moves. Like some have already made a significant bounce. Others are running into big resistance on the daily. So each has to be traded on its own. And while that's going on, you tend to get a little bit of sideways action on the SPY. And it's hard to break those highs when 3 or 4 of these Mag 7 are not participating in a move.
All right. Okay, my kids. Okay, practice 6:15. All right. So, look, we're 40 handles in the money. You know, I mean, this is what we're trying to do every single day is try to put on winning trades. Futures came right in. That's the Nasdaq came right in to support. We bought it. Now we get upside. Nice takes here. The first little level there. It's 40 handles, right? So we have the bottom to the top. Whenever we can get the bottom back to the 50 period, back to that's 50 periods right here, back to VWAP, back to the 200. We're going to do that all day, every day. So here we go again, man. Just another one. I don't know. Like these are the only times I traded it today. Let it settle down. Nasdaq, this is what we do. Good trade there. We like it right up to VWAP, and it's been working. So we're getting out of it. We only have 20% left of this trade, but a good piece out right there, and maybe another one coming soon. In what could be an inside day, it seems like it might just be like that. Shout out to Coffee Trader and everybody else out there wondering how we squeeze this money out of these stocks. And it's like, yeah, just keep on watching, and hopefully you'll be able to see how more. But that's how we did it on the Nasdaq. We waited for this bottom to come in. We sat there like a sniper and just took it out right there, showing the versatility, hopefully, of the way we trade. So, yeah, that's what it is. All right, let's go back over to Sharif and figure out what's going on with Nvidia, number 2 P&L name around here.
All right, guys, Nvidia next on the list here, and we talked about Jensen Huang meeting with Prime Minister Modi yesterday in New York, as a lot of the world leaders are there for the UN event. So we'll see what comes of that. But Nvidia already with a presence in India, looking to expand more. Taiwan Semi was also in the headlines today. Reason I'm showing them here is because they make the great majority of Nvidia's chips. They are denying reports that they are looking at investing in the UAE to build out a fab. We talked about Samsung and possibly Taiwan Semi looking at getting their presence there, denying the rumors, guys.
Oh, boy. All right, so tale of two names again here with Nvidia. Look, we wrote this down here on the sticky note for a 115 long. Hold on a second. Let me just hit this quickly. There it is, 115 long. You can go find it at Trader TV, Sean. I know we had a problem with our watch list, but never fear. You can go grab the sticky note. There's the 115 long. There's us getting out of the last piece at 116. So good traffic to come through. Banged it to the upside. We had to hold it a little bit against us as we first went long in the 20s. Then we got O's, and then the rest is history. Then we shorted. Boom. That was a good short right there back in and before the market turned on us, and we wind up taking a piece out right there. Nvidia, your number 2 P&L name today across all shows.
Give me a second. So I had one trade. Well, we had one in and out flat on Nvidia that was during the number, and I wanted to wait till after. Actually, no, wait a minute. That was when at 10 o'clock when we thought there was a number, there wasn't a number. So just very quickly, there was a big volume spike right at 10 o'clock, and in the moment, I was like, what the heck just happened to the bid? I triggered in and just was like, oh, let's punch out here and wait till the other side. Because it was enough of a spike that I thought there was going to be, a number being dropped, and I wanted to play the other side of it. Now, obviously, as it ducked underneath and I got long, it would have been a winning trade, but it doesn't matter. I simply then at that point was like, let's just wait for it to break the bottom. It was a flat bottom break on Nvidia. It was never breaking top. All morning long, I was looking at a 117. I had that order set to go pretty much the entirety of the morning to break it out. As you can see, Nvidia never broke it. It did break out the bottom. I played it into 115, and then when it broke out past break even, just got out of the trade. I was looking at a breakdown. In the moment, it was weaker than the rest of the market, so I essentially just played the short on Nvidia. Looks like a bit of a VWAP play in there now, but I don't know. I feel like if it loses VWAP, you could still play with that previous flat bottom break. Whenever there's a break of a low like this, and an immediate recovery, and this is a multi-day bottom. It was also yesterday's low. You had some support if you go all the way back into sorry, not yesterday, Fridays. Or you go back into Wednesday, you had support at that price. Anytime you get an immediate rejection of that breakdown, I tend to think the support is right back to being valid. So I think tomorrow and for this afternoon, looking at that 115.5 certainly looks strong on Nvidia. Teetering from red to green right now, and it hasn't really been the biggest percentage mover on the day, but kind of a flat day for Nvidia, just like the market.
From flat day, Neil, to higher day here with AMZN. This one, we got a headline midday that they were teaming up with SLB, formerly known as Schlumberger, basically for a multi-year agreement to explore low-carbon technology deployment and accelerate, guys, the digital decarbonization. It's a mouthful. Doesn't matter. The market likes it. It's at highs.
Digital decarbonization. So I was in Amazon, actually, for the long side, and it got to the high of the day and then reversed. I didn't get back in. I'll slap the fail on that one because if you look at it, it ends up doing a rounded bottom. It broke out. There's strong stocks and there's weak stocks in this market. There's stocks that aren't doing anything. This is up 1% and it broke out the top. I was just looking to join the trend after it broke out the high. So if something is relatively strong, I like to join it, break, higher low, confirm, take it into the high of the day. At that point, I'm like, okay, we're going to throw a stop underneath break even and let it roll. Now Amazon breaking highs. I still feel like this is one that should be a continuation play this afternoon. On any strength in the market, I want Amazon to be a buy. On the daily here, 197 is your next resistance level right in there. And then like after that, you're basically talking about the Bezos 200 spot. Like I feel like we would have broken out here if it wasn't for the fact that Bezos was dumping pretty much the entirety of the time when it was at that 200 level. And if we get back to it, I'd suspect there's going to be some sellers in that range because there's probably some longs that were trapped in that consolidation. But the 197, I feel like is going to be the next step for Amazon. This afternoon, I want to be buying dips. Previous high right in here, 193.30. I think it's a trend to the upside that just want to join.
Look, it's a hot dog cannon for the Katina family because we've already said, well, Amazon can reach 190, it's a vacation level. So I just actually messaged to Marissa, get me some dates because we're going somewhere. Seriously, I'll show you the chat right now. So Amazon up to the upside here. We got to make sure we cash them out if we're going to enjoy the vacation. But we had really started to buy this at the 200 period. We kept on talking about how much we like Amazon. It's the same reason, like we love Palantir. I love Amazon. I still love Google, although that's a love-hate relationship. But Amazon all the way to the upside, man, a great PA name, a great name to continue to trade. I love this stock. But you know what else I love, man? I just love trading, period. Tesla right now, $1.50 in the money, going higher right here. This is, and again, another great day. This is the futures right now, starting to go higher as well on the TQQ. 45 cents now in the money and getting ready to take out these levels. We like that trade. And then, of course, the last one and the biggest one of them all, not P&L. Well, actually, yeah, P&L. No, Tesla's is Palantir. And there you go, man. That's taking out day's high as well. So we'll go 3 for 3 with what we're holding on right now and really be good day. And look, I just like Amazon. I don't know, like yesterday I bought some more hand soap on that. I realized we were out of that, so I went and got some more of that. Right there, all this stuff, man, just
great deal.
Keeps on going. Yeah, it's not even, to me, it's not even about the deal. It's about the convenience. Like, I don't have to worry about anything. I just get whatever the heck I want. It gets dropped off at the house. Perfect as that. Although, trust me, when I see all the credit cards go through, there's a lot of Amazon on there as well. So nice movement there to the upside. We probably spend similar amounts at Amazon and on Costco. So I don't know which one, but Costco this week also reports. So that should be a good one. Costco, of course, has the same PE right now as an Nvidia. So you do have well extended out about a 50 point PE right now for Costco and for Nvidia. I actually tweeted this out earlier. Thank you again so much. Thank you to Brian James. This guy killing it right here on these moves today. There it is, man. First to try it, next one to write one. That was that funny comment there about the book. There's the chicken dinner winner. But what I was trying to show you is this right here for Nvidia. So if you, that's just the Nvidia chart, but it's right here. 56 times, it's PE ratio. Is that what I said? Yeah, 56 and 54. So Costco a little higher right now than Nvidia. I prefer Nvidia. But again, I don't trade them the same. I buy Nvidia on dips and I kind of just leave Costco alone. So yeah, right now Nvidia and Costco both well upside here. Let's see what winds up happening. But I like both stocks and I like retail. Tesla right now is just huge, dude. Another $1.70 on this. Like honestly, this has just been another great day to trade. I think you guys clearly can see the trades that we have on and what's been going on here. So it's 225. I don't think we have any guests coming through this this evening, but for right now, I think you have Michael Noss tonight, which should be great. We'll hear what he's talking about. But for right now, yeah, Palantir, nice upside play. Well, I'm holding everything right now. I don't have any reason to get out. Looks like the market could break up. We're above VWAP. Let's go. I mean, we're long and we're out of a lot of them, but we're still long. So we'll hold on and see where we go and looking for more opportunities. I'll talk about Intel after, but the rundown is now complete. 5 minutes ago.
And brought to you that rundown, as always, by Trade the Pool. So thank you and shout out to Trade the Pool, because becoming a funded trader means trading with the firm's money instead of your own firm biz. At Trade the Pool, you first complete an evaluation by hitting profit targets while managing risk. Once you pass, you get access to up to $260,000 in buying power. You keep up to 80% of your profits while the firm covers the risk. It's the perfect way to trade big without risking your own funds. Ready to become a funded trader? Join Trade the Pool. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description of this video. Shout out to Trade the Pool there, and you might get some opportunities in the overall market. Oh, Amazon just dipped in a little bit. Boeing just broke $158 as it just continues to go higher. I did want to get to Alibaba in a quick little second, but before we get to that, there's Boeing just continuing to run. Looks like they like what the chances of getting the deal done. Obviously, as Sharif said, they have until Friday at midnight to get the deal ratified. So hopefully this works out for Boeing. I own them in my long-term account. I'm not going to tell you that I don't, but it has not been a great ride for Boeing. So trend line on Amazon, dip into trend. If it loses 193.20, do want to jump out of it. I'm in NEO from earlier. That was the mean reversion trade. I'm pretty sure it was like right when we were leaving the morning show. I was like, hey, NEO is trying to revert off of this big trend line. It never got to VWAP, but Chinese ADRs in the afternoon might actually just go sideways for the rest of the day. If it breaks VWAP, I'll probably slap a trail on it. If it does nothing, I'll just get on the bid near the end of the day. But another Chinese ADR making a decent move today was Alibaba. And why is Alibaba? I know it's flat like at VWAP as well, but Alibaba on the daily, right in here. We were talking about this last week. Since it's broken both the 50, the 200, nice rounded bottom. Every time we asked about JD and other Chinese ADRs, and it's like, well, Alibaba is actually breaking it out. There's your rounded bottom, there's your higher lows, and now you have a double top breakout. Although there's a bit of a rejection of this level today, all it has to do is hold above 20. It's like 90-60. Hold above 90-60, and then you got room to the mid-90s in here for Alibaba. So this one continuing to work. Just like NEO, as far as today, the afternoon goes, I mean, it's barcoding here off of VWAP. So another test of that 90-60 on the daily tomorrow looks good for BABA. That's the one that we like around here.
Yeah, we've been talking about BABA for a while, so congratulations on everybody in that one. We've been talking about Palantir for a while. That's at day's high. That's a banger. And someone just asked, what's up, Coffee Trader and everybody? I mean, we are $1.70 right now in the money for Tesla. So I just took another piece out right there, heading to the upside. I mean, if we break through 250, yeah. I put the long on before, and it just didn't break. So I mean, we'd put it on, like we were going to take it, but it didn't go. So that one, we just bought that dip again. Like Tesla is, like we're up more on Tesla than traders for the whole month. Like it's a good trade today for Tesla. And I want to thank you to Mashworth as well there in the chat that talked about the comments from last week on Tesla. Really helped him out, or her out. So thank you so much for the super chats. Keep them coming, man, as we continue to go higher and higher. I'm getting a little nervous more about first of all, Palantir. Just keep it going, man. We're going to be at the high of our day here once we get out, or close enough to it. But the Qs just dipped in a little bit, so I just want to tell everybody we have that 10% left now. I don't know if this must be 9 outs or 8 outs and some double ups there, but we're almost now out of the TQQs. As we just broke below VWAP and we took a piece out, I'll hold the rest just to see what's going on. But on Palantir here, we just touched 18s. I did have an offer at 19, just sitting in front of 20. So I'm going to keep that there and just see if it continues to climb up. Like I said, just a bunch of longs. It's been a really, really big day today again. And we'll say congratulations to Wayne in the back, leading everybody here. So that's a good trade there. We'll wait to see now what happens. Palantir, upside. Let's go hunting for a little bit more. Intel. So we will be actually, despite us being at the highest spot we've been at all day today, Intel, we made money back on the short underneath VWAP. Then we kept on trying to short this level right here, 55. It worked, and then it didn't work. So we'll basically wind up being down on Intel, almost the same as we were right here when we flipped over into the short, and then we just given some back now, getting into that short. But if we were just patient again, 22.83 right there was a good spot. So we could have waited for that, and we should have, 22.83 for Intel. But here goes Palantir, here goes the futures, there goes Tesla. It's 3 longs. We're all over this right now. If you want to grab some shorts, this guy Neil is in NEO right now, and Marvell. So those could be some interesting spots to look short. But I'm going to hold on to these longs and wait to think what's happening. And then I'll look at a scalp for TQQ. But right now, I'm only long 10%.
Yeah, and I mean, the difference today Marvell's not been good. It hasn't been a good stock for most of the day. It made that double top. We tried to grab it in here as it did that bit of a reversion, and now it's just putting in a higher low. So the higher low, 71.33, I'm going to give it to that. If we could have got it into VWAP, wasn't quite fast enough. We were doing our opening qual as I was trying to stare it down for that punch short. And in that moment, you're going to miss it, take your eyes off for a couple of seconds. It is what it is. There was just a story on Boeing again. I didn't quite catch it. It doesn't matter. Boeing not really reacting there, but I heard something about Boeing and the government and accountability and some of the lawsuits they have going on there. But still Boeing to the upside. I feel like this is going to have to either hold on to this trend or give some kind of a dip into prior support. Like this 156 looks pretty good. Holding on to a steep trend line seems like a little bit much here on Boeing. But up to 3%, I do like it. It is a strong one. It's doing pretty solid volume. The volume's actually continuing to go here on Boeing. As long as it's able to hold the volume, I want to see if we can still keep making some higher lows, keep the trend going to the upside on this one, 2.5% to the upside, but there's plenty of room on Boeing for it to go even higher than this. When you look at the next resistance, you're not talking until 159 and then again at like 165. So plenty of room here. Just got to find my way into the stock on Boeing. Not really that big of a deal here when it comes to the finalization of it, but I was actually just turning to Sean and saying, if they do finalize this deal, I've been looking for a place to add to Boeing for literally months now. And at first, I was like, I'm only adding to it if it breaks. I own some of my long-term already, so it is what it is. But if it breaks the 200 period, I was like, yeah, that would have been a reason. You can see it failed and has been making fresh lows. But I think the ratification of this deal and getting this behind them would be a good sign. And I'd probably try to pick this. If they get this deal done this week, I think I'd pick some up on Monday next week, assuming that they get this done. If they can't, I think it's the perfect catalyst, but there's no need to be impatient with Boeing. It's been in a downward trend. Sometimes let the price come to you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we've been doing that for a lot of these names. I think especially when you're day trading and the market's going to be like this. Just reading some of the chats in there, and it's like, first of all, hit the like, hit the subscribe. You got to be a subscriber to get into our chat. This is what the Nasdaq looks like here today. This is where we opened. This is the opening run, right here. This is where we are, and we've taken probably $7 or $8, if not more, out of this market today. Myself speaking. Me and Neil will always say we've, but generally speaking, we're just talking about our own trading. And the thing is like it's about being specific with the right amount of shares and the right stocks to trade. I took his Palantir out right here at 17, some of it. Did not wait for the 19. But then it's like trading the right names, right? There's Tesla. We talked about that one being the number 1 stock. We talked about Nvidia being the number 2 stock right there, right? Again, pretty decent opportunity. Apple, the number 1 losing stock. And that's, again, I put my hand up. I'm the one that creates this action. And we are now down on Apple right there. So for me, it's the number 1 losing stock today. And we were trying to battle this long right into there, 227. That's right where it is right now. So this could be, come on, Palantir. Wow, Palantir is breaking the high again, 38.20. Like, I don't even have to worry about that position, it seems like. But it's right into here right now for Apple. So I think if you wanted to try to take a long now, and we just kept on fighting this. We tried to fight it at VWAP. We should have got out of the way when it definitely didn't want to hold it, but we were kind of stubborn into the low of the day there. But at that time, we just didn't want this to break too far below 226. So we actually get out on, I guess, whatever that candle low is there, 226.50. So that makes sense. And then it kind of just blasts off from there. So looks very, very silly to do that. But like I said, this is how you stay in the game. And I did double check. We have 2 red days this month. So far this month, there's been like, I mean, how many trading days? 4, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be week 3, so 15 or so. So it's been a pretty good day overall, or month overall. But at the same time, you have to understand, like, there's going to be days when you want to strike and then days when you want to chill out. And I think we had a good opportunity there. Just showing you, and I know Neil's lesson was talking about some of these actionable trades off the imbalance and stuff like that. Nobody made any money here on this Apple move down. It's just, you got to be there to look at it and try to figure out what exactly is going on, right? So it's easy in hindsight to sort of have a look, but as it's happening real time, you got to be real careful of it. The only trade I think that was profitable here off the rebalances was Palantir, and we were really lucky it's not luck. I keep saying luck, but it's not, you got to hit the keys. It's this bid right here. We were looking for a long on Palantir, right? We talked about it being an ad. Look what it does here. 36.70 all the way to 37.30. And we actually didn't make money on this long until it broke right here, 37. So this was really, I think, the only trade. I think it was one of the first times in a long time that the office was, I think, negative, on the rebalances. So that's too bad. Things didn't really turn out. But with that being said, we do have an opportunity to talk about one more thing. We can go to Adara first, but I think we'll hold off. Let's go look at what's up with the money time here at Real Trading. So right here we go. This is what was the profits from Friday.
Apple short.
Okay, so again, like I was saying, it's one thing, and like Neil just said, Apple short. One thing to talk about it and something else to take it. This person took it, I guess, and I don't know. We just see the markets. There's a trader. We haven't showed you digits like this in a while, but as you can see what happened on Friday, you saw some big trades. We talked about some big trades on Friday. I just gave you an example there of Palantir. But this is what happened there. 25,000, 14,000, 10,000. Look at the markets. CME, Nasdaq, New York, NYMEX, Amex, Nasdaq again. Some stuff happening over there in Europe. A lot of European trading here. German, Swiss, everything as you go. Finnish markets, Paris, everything going upside. Finnish, that's Swedish, Stockholm. Copenhagen's there as well. New York, Nasdaq as we go. All right, you ready for Adara? Then so am I.
This part of the show is brought to you by VinFast. VinFast, Vietnam's leading electric vehicle manufacturer, has announced its Q2 2024 financial results. Deliveries surged by 44% quarter over quarter, with 13,172 EVs delivered, bringing the first half total to over 22,000, a 101% increase year over year. Q2 revenue climbed to $357 million, up 33% quarter over quarter. VinFast's success in Vietnam is pivotal, driven by rising EV adoption. With global expansion and new models like the VF3, VinFast aims to deliver 80,000 vehicles in 2024, maintaining its commitment to sustainable mobility.
Thank you very much there, Adara. And sustainable downtrend in DJT right now, as it just made another fresh low of the day. I did get out of DJT during lunchtime. It was right in the middle of the day. I was working into like a new short. Probably should have, when I was doing my exercises, I think this would have been an opportunity to get back in. But if it continues this trend, and, like when I say this trend, I'm not just talking about today. I'm sort of talking about the general trend that it's been on. Whether or not there's any selling going on from Trump isn't necessarily the point. There are other holders of the stock, and clearly there is some selling happening. If he's dumping it, I would suspect you'd have less control on the way to the downside, although at the open, it was pretty nasty on the initial wick. But after things calm down, I think you just want to join the trend. Pretty much every single day, it's worth doing. That said, you got to pay for locates. At Real Trading, I can tell you they're really cheap. We're paying less than a cent per share pretty much every single day for these, despite the fact that I bet there's probably a lot of demand. But it's trying to break the low. It did break the low of the day, and now consolidating under. That was 12.55. So you're getting a consolidation under the low of the day with this wick. So just want to jump back into the trend. I don't think we're going to see VWAP again, although I suppose that's not impossible. Has not been a very good look for DJT the last little bit. It's been one of those short till it's not kind of stocks. And yeah, I shouldn't have gotten away from it. I feel like sometimes you get, like I'll put a trailing stop in so that I can get up, but oftentimes like that'll hit and you get an opportunity to go back into the stock. There's nothing wrong with just getting right back in at the same level if all it looks like it did is run some stops, not even break out VWAP, and then heading right back into some of these lows. So consolidation level, probably about 1260 is the current high. It's the only green candle that you've seen since VWAP, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's too bad. We always talk about, you know, it's one thing to talk about a trade, another thing to take the trade. We had downgraded DJT with a $10 price target when it was at 50 or 60 bucks. And man, that's a nice downside target, and it's still same target. We are not changing our opinion on that one. All right, JP Morgan 211, kind of barcoding. So I still have enough shares to, you know, make something of the rest of this day. We got out some more Palantir there. It's just hovering around the top. All right, JP Morgan, let's try to give you a trade to actually make, right? I mean, here's 211. We're underneath right now on the daily. It's trying to break above the 50-period moving average. I would think it's been relatively weak today. Then the ES is up 0.2, so that's nice. The Nasdaq up 0.2 as well, so pretty equal, but right now trying to get below. If JP Morgan, so I just want to talk about this trade. I don't have anything on right now on it. You'll see little ticks, so you'll see it at the bottom being indicated there. You know, I want to stay underneath, so my trade, thank you, Randy, for that one. How's your day been going? Thumbs up. Okay, thank you, Randy, for that one. Andre on the cameras, so we didn't get that, but trust me when I tell you Randy was here. All right, 210.80 right there. So if we can get underneath, that's lemon ginger.
Yeah, I was going to say it smells good.
Yeah, lemon ginger there. Don't want to lose the old voice again here. Breaking back below right there, 210.90. So if we can break below there and the 200 period, then I think that's pretty good. We'll have support of VWAP. We'll be underneath VWAP, so hopefully they can push it a little bit lower before trying to buy it back up. But right now, JP Morgan 0.03. We could trade more shares on a BAC, but share size is not anything that I'm really necessarily worried about. But it's just, again, $40 name. Underneath 40 looks pretty good, but I want to see us break the 200. So trying to find something that moves. I mean, DraftKings there. I should check the account. We have a little bit left at 36 today because I saw someone that noted to me, they said DraftKings moving up. I think it was someone off X there. Hit me
moving up because
yeah, so it's just nicely done. And we did get out of some, but we had talked about this 36 level, and I just had held what we had. I didn't reload any of this or anything like that. It's like Roblox. We got a lot out there at 44, 43 to $44, even though it continues to go up. I always like exit out of the swing trades and then leave a little bit of piece on. You know, it was disastrous to do that in the marijuana stocks, but some of these stocks pretty good. So there's DraftKings right now, right back to this 40 level. I actually like a break on this, maybe something to trade later. But as we talk, man, our net just keeps on rising. Palantir high of day. Nasdaq trying to go back up to here. If we can get that break, then giddy up on this one. We are right now 40 handles in the money on the Nasdaq, which is pretty good for anybody over there at other prop firms that, you know, generally just will trade futures. The TQs, I'm always trying to put on at least a position or two on the futures every day. And it might be, I'll have to look it up, but either this or Nvidia for our show, I think anyways, for me, is going to be the number one traded name. So we'll just continue to watch out for this and sip on some nice lemon ginger tea. Thank you, Randy, as Nike people may be talking about.
Oh, Nike, under some trouble. Okay, let's go to I have to show my 15-minute chart for Marvell here. Just a little bit of data missing there. So Marvell, still no difference. Going to have the stop right in here at that previous high. It's like 71.55-ish. It's just a little bit above the 55 level. We did jump into DJT. It just made a consolidation off of the lows. So there it is. Consolidation off the lows. I'll zoom back in so you can see a little bit better. Breaking down, this is about 58, so 1258. That was the only green candle. I said since VWAP, but you know what I meant. Close enough. You know, it almost got to VWAP. It actually didn't even get to VWAP, but since it got to VWAP, this is the only green candle. The first opportunity to get a consolidation short on this name. If it breaks 1250, we'll take some out. The other thing which is breaking lower is Apple. So Apple had been, Apple was looking like it was going to be strong. Obviously, it was a breakout earlier today. Now you're barely holding on to these morning lows. I don't know if we get a chance to play off of It was 227 quarter or 227 half, which is a level that I actually liked this morning. But obviously, this one's looking pretty weak. If we continue this trend into the downside, I'm missing, where's Friday? There we go. If we continue into the downside, my first thought is with a huge sell imbalance on Friday on Apple that really, they just tried to pair it off. It just kept on falling. A lot of times you'll get a pairing event and something this big that falls that far will catch a little bit of a bounce. I don't wonder if there might be a little bit of a buy imbalance. I tend to think if it's a huge imbalance one way or a shock imbalance one way after an event like Friday with triple witching or just an index rebalancing, usually looking for the other direction. So I'm kind of thinking I'm not going to go just long at 349 on Apple, but I want to be ready if there's a buy imbalance on Apple to punch long at 350. But for now, it's a relatively weak stock that I think you want to play into the downside. But I've seen that happen before where you catch a massive imbalance one direction or the other on the Friday, and then on the Monday, you get a little bit of a reversal move. So it's red, it's weak, but I don't think we're going to see a chance at VWAP in here on Apple anytime soon. We'll have to be patient for it. If it does want to come in there, that's where I'd like to load in. Boeing still holding the move to the upside, but starting to come right back in to retest this 156. So on the initial news spike, 156 was where it held. Now it's finally starting to retest that level. Did not want to chase on Boeing, but it looks like it does want to come back into this 156. Initially, I'd have said VWAP, but it just continued the trend in. Now we're looking for 156 on Boeing. Volume's still pretty solid here, but tapering off since we got that update on the negotiations with their machinist union.
All right, I talked to some people there in the chat. Thank you for the compliments on the Palantir trade, but we're getting a little bit lighter, and I just want to go over Tesla right now. We are going to, at minimum, take $1 on this trade. We have the 200 period right here. We are starting to break through the 50. Normally, that would be something like if we had more shares, I feel like, and we hadn't had some of these outs up here with Tesla, then we could have just taken out like a lot of them at a lot of the shares here at the 50 period. But we already have some nice outs above, like when we were trading above the 50. So right now I'm going to use the 200. That's going to be a slip up spot. So if we break 248.50, that will be a minimum of $1 taken on that. And again, Tesla has been today as far as the net is concerned. So it's been a good one there. All right, Palantir. So I just took some out at 14s. I put that in the chat. I feel like it might be getting a little overextended. We're up 2.5%. Market's not really doing too much right now, not doing too much. I'm not doing anything. And we've done really well on Palantir. So probably taking more than $1, I guess. We'll just figure out what eventually the end of the number is. That doesn't really matter. We're not trading P&L right now. We've already taken a lot out. You could see all of these outs. I thought it would go. And honestly, my biggest trades have been taking, which we do, taking better shares and then getting it out like on those initial pops and trying to find the tops and then maybe reloading it on the way back in and then hitting it back up. Like you could sort of see, and I'm just talking about this and it's funny, but that's basically what happened right here. Here's the break that we wrote down that we wanted, 37.50. So we hit it with our most amount of shares. And then it came back into that level and reloaded it and boom, right? So those are the big trades. Then we get out of majority of them. Then as we drip back, then we start to reload at the 50, then reload at VWAP, and then we got another piece on, and then it's boom goes the dynamite. This must have been a keystroke error in and out there on the first 37 break, so I don't know what happened. Then we bought some more, and this is what we're in right now. That's why I guess when we got in there must have been an order thrown there. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Now we're starting to get out and we're trying to break a little bit lower. So I'm not going to hold this one. If we break 38, we might as well get out. We could retrace back in here into 90s. We have about 15% or so left as we tried to hold out hope for Palantir to try to go. I'm going to get out another piece now, but whoopsies. Like I was saying, at the end of the day, it's a winning trade and it's a great one. So we're just going to, sort of count our not blessings, but just feel lucky that we're able to get a bunch out here while it was barcoding in and around 20, with our best out today being 16s, I guess. So not too bad there. We'll just wait to see if we can take a little bit more on this trade. But right now, it's Palantir. We'll offer some 10s, see if we can get out on that one. Tesla, we already talked about where our out is. If we can break the 200 period, we'll get out of that one for $1. And then the Nasdaq, I mean, yeah. Maybe these bottom wicks, $70.45 could be something. But right now I'm watching our net. We're teetering near the highs of the day for ourselves. And it hasn't been like we said before. And I got to say a big shout out to Sharif. I got a lot of respect for that guy because even though today he was saying he was down and his trading wasn't going that well, that sometimes is hard to admit, especially when you're trading live in front of everybody, which is why I try to do that. I told you I lost, basically it took me 3 days to make back what I lost on the first day of this month. And you can always ask me if that's the case, but I just wanted to say it's not easy to sit here and expose all of the trades and all that stuff. So I got to give respect out, to Neil, Adara, and Sharif for doing that because it is tough. And Obi we had on today as well. But again, you can ask any of us at any times if we're green or red or what our ratios, anything like that, if you want to know anything. But at the end of the day, all the stuff is there. And that's why we keep on going back to the same names, just to try to show you that, hey, like this is what our plan of action was. Some didn't work, some did. And this is how we traded it. And at the end of the day, if we're green or red on it, really that's what matters. And so we just hope that we can convey that to everybody. And I hope you guys can see the trades and understand that, we're piecing them out or we're not, and what our description of those events are. And you can always ask us, like I said, in the chat for our plan of action, because I think we do a pretty good job baselining out all the trade ideas for you.
Speaking of, I was trying to find who was asking it just now on DJT price targets. So there was a lot of chatter about price targets in a general sense on DJT. Like people are throwing numbers like $1, $10, and that kind of stuff. And that's all well and good for the longer term. But no, what I was mentioning here is it was breaking to the downside. If it broke 1250, we'd look to get someone on the break of 1250. It's a round number. Obviously, it's a kind of psychological level, like a $12, $12.25, $12.50, $75, $13 even, like that kind of a thing. So it just made a wick bottom. I even threw a bit at 25, but it just made a wick bottom and is now coming right back up. So when you have that kind of a reversal off of an even level, I'm still going to give it into this break-even price, which is about $12.58. Technically, it's like 3 cents worth of a hit, but the previous high, still want to give it that. But in terms of reloading it, I'd rather reload it if it was still trending down, but I don't want it wicking 1250 and then breaking out that prior resistance level. Like that's not a spot that I actually favor a reload. And Mashworth in the chat was just saying that BABA was looking good. I don't disagree on a higher time frame for BABA. There's almost a 0% chance, however, as a day trade that I'd want to trade BABA this afternoon. And so when we're talking about Alibaba looking good on the daily chart, just to be clear, like that is hey, let's look continuation longs tomorrow on Alibaba because it's trending up, not let's buy this one off of VWAP. I know it looks really, if this was not a Chinese ADR, yeah, this would probably look pretty good. Consolidation off VWAP, if it starts going, just go long. But oftentimes, if it's not moving for an hour or two in the afternoon on a Chinese ADR, it's because it's gone to sleep. And a lot of times, if the algos that'll trade these names will fall asleep. And if you're already in it, fine. But I don't know if I'd want to get into a trade on BABA until tomorrow. Adara?
This part of the show is brought to you by Benzinga Pro. If you feel lost in the noise of the market, then you need Benzinga Pro. Benzinga Pro cuts through the clutter and gives you the insights you need to make smarter, faster trades. From real-time news to unusual options activity, we'll show you exactly what's moving the market and why. Don't miss out on your chance to trade like a pro. Visit benzinga.com/pro to start your free trial today.
And she just double check that out. Okay, so we did get out of Palantir there. It did come back up. We did get those 10s, as we mentioned right there. 7s. Sorry, we just hit offer enter. Did not get to 10s. So we do get 7s. I am going to now, in front of all of y'all, put this, like I said, like you guys, like we mentioned, ask us whatever you want to know. Here's the stop order right now, 37.94. We're long at 96. We'll just let it slip up a little bit. Bang, as we have exactly 10% left now on Palantir, and it's been a good one there for PLTR. So we'll just continue to watch out for that as it goes. I want to thank all 3,700 of you watching right now. Make sure you do hit the like and the subscribe. We have the market recap show after that tonight with Michael Noss. That should be a lot of fun. Tomorrow's Brian Shannon. Wednesday, I guess, is Chris. And then I think Danielle planning still on coming this coming Thursday. Yeah, so we talked about that with her last week. And I was like, oh, it's going to be the last time we see you. And she's like, nope. She'll be coming here until she can. So we'll keep you posted on that one. And we had Joe on the show. And as we try to spread our wings, and there's hopefully going to be some changes obviously coming to the show. We always try to change things up. So let's just see where it goes. We want to introduce as many new people as we can and see what, it's like if you throw enough spaghetti at the wall, eventually something will stick. So we're going to keep on doing that and give you guys as best options as possible. Options.
Or you
about Joe, trading options, as many different looks as possible.
Run up the flagpole and see who salutes.
Yeah, exactly. Because we used to have Arun was here, and then of course the futures. He's no longer, as far as I know, he's no longer trading with Real Trading, and I'm not sure if he's trading at all. So I mean, if he ever swings by, with which he had before, I'd kind of taken over a little bit now with trading of the futures. So we have a little bit of that. So we'll try to find more futures traders for you. Obviously, more guests like that. Crypto, we had a couple of interesting people lined up for that. And then, of course, we had options. We had Danielle, and then we had Joe on explaining how that all works with Sharif on the midday show. And hopefully we can find some more time for him as well. All right, so that's that. Tesla, we talked about where we're going to get out. Is very, very close right now. It will be, at minimum, $1. So that's right now, it's $1.10. We talked about where we're going to get out. If it breaks, it's right here, it's right now. So that's getting pretty close at the 200 period. We took about $1.80 right there, and we actually did this live on the air with you while we were on, and we just said, let's get something out here. The high was already 250, and then I was asked by, I think it was Jay Lee in the chat, it's like, are we going longer on a breakthrough 250? I actually was like, I didn't think so, because the market right now, although heading into power hour, anything can happen, didn't really see a catalyst for that. So that sort of sparked me to think, okay, if we're not going to get out at if we're not going to take more at 250, then let's just get some out at 249.25, where we had sort of been barcoding there. Well, we hadn't at that time, but we already seen this top. So we were like, okay, let's get something out. And if it gets up here, we can make that decision then, right? And take it out and figure out for a longer trade. So right now, we'll wait on Tesla and wait for that.
You know what I love here?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Big shout out to Ben Weiss in the chat here. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. And even better, the insight, because I just, obviously I'm going to talk about your super chat here, and then we'll get into why it's so important. DJT just hit a double bottom from June 2023. Should somewhat bounce up from here a bit, question mark. I'm going to hit the like on that. Obviously, it just made a fresh low. But remember, hey, this was a SPAC. There's some price history. And look, in our platform, there was DWAC, and when it converts, we don't have the history. Only goes back to when it was DJT. So you do have to pull up a resource. I mean, TradingView happens to, and a few others out there, if you can get historical prices when it was DWAC. Yeah, absolutely. When you zoom it out, and obviously you have to zoom out far enough here, and this is what it looks like. Obviously, DWAC had some ups and downs of its own, but yeah, 1250 was a significant previous low here on DJT. So it's not unreasonable that you get some price history down here. And if it holds on, maybe I'll come into, if it comes into tomorrow and it's held on to the 1250 level, right now it's exactly at 1250 after a flat bottom break, maybe there is a bit of a reversal. So there's significant price levels on anything that was a SPAC at $10, but you have I suppose that would be like a multi-year low, because that was over a year ago, and you can see on that daily chart that it was holding a while. But fresh lows for DJT, but rightfully pointed out. Another reason to maybe not love a reload down here. If it's going to bounce somewhere at some point, which is what squeeze names tend to do, right? Like, it's not always to the downside. Like, there are, generally speaking, decent bounces on names like these from time to time. And if this is where it's going to happen, you can always back off of it for a little bit. It has been a while. The last time it had an up move was with the I'm not selling comments. And since then, it's actually been looking for a bit of a bounce. I could see that level on the daily being it, but until it gets back above the local high, I'm going to hang on to this one. Apple's still not doing much of anything. Ryan, I'm with you. Go Bills. Although I need to thread the needle today with my Buffalo Bills. I don't just need them to win. I need them to win with Josh Allen throwing TDs to Kincaid and somehow James Cook, their running back, not getting a lot of points. So, going to have to thread the needle on that one pretty big. It's really difficult. And I have the Bills defense going tonight, but yeah, I need all touchdowns to the tight end and no touchdowns to the running back, which if you're hoping a team's going to win in the NFL, hoping that the running back doesn't get points is almost impossible. So my team's going to win. My fantasy team might go 0-2, though.
Oh, really? Yeah, we're trying to go 2-0 this week.
I played Bala. The guy, the worst team in our league had Chuba Hubbard go for like 1 million points.
So I saw my brother for the first time since our birthdays.
Oh, nice.
And in the league that I'm in 2 leagues, one with Neil and then one with more family members. I've had Josh Allen. In our league with Neil, I was nice enough to trade into him. In the other league, I did not.
That was very kind of you.
So I've had Josh Allen since day one. So he's got me coffee mugs and all this stuff. And this is a Josh Allen stress toy. So I forgot. I brought it in. It was in my pocket. And I left it over there. And I meant to show you earlier. So we'll keep Josh Allen right there for some little bit of good luck as we go. And if anybody has any
like
cool little toys
touchdowns.
like this you want to send us, I'd love to show them here and start to build this up. So there's a little Josh Allen. If anyone has I was like to my brother, like, where's Jordan Love at? You know, like what's going on? He's like, because he always bugs me about Josh.
What
Allen.
happened to the hockey
right
guy?
there? And of course, we do have the best backup. Probably one of the best starters in the league, Malik Willis, as well. So the Packers are.
You know what that tells you?
Fine. Isn't Malik Willis only 22 years old or something? How old is that guy?
When a player is doing absolutely nothing, and Malik, so if you don't follow football, Malik Willis, who's the current start, he's a backup, but the current starter on Green Bay.
Who we signed like 3 weeks ago.
When he was on the Titans the last couple of years, he looked like the worst quarterback in the NFL, right? He's the same guy. He switches to the Green Bay Packers and instantaneously looks like a legitimate starter in the NFL. When that happens,
so much coaching.
Coaching matters so much in the NFL. And if you don't have it, it is what it is. Like, it can get pretty nasty. But I don't mean to harp on the Tennessee Titans. I own a Titans jersey. I like them as well. But something is amiss. Or in the case of where it is the player, you'll see the opposite. Where the Carolina Panthers were like the worst team, why we weren't just going on them against them in suicide is beyond me.
I mentioned in week 1, remember?
No, you said we should
bet against them.
I'll be the first person to admit.
Then we would have lost this week, but we probably would have stayed away.
We had our worst showing in 20 years in this Wall Street suicide pool that we've always done. And I will cop to the fact that I made the picks in the first 2 weeks. Pretty much. Like, we kind of loosely agreed on it.
Yeah.
But I got it bad this time, so hopefully next year will be better. But it is what it is. That's not football talk for now. Going to Apple's not doing anything.
Oh, we got stopped out of Palantir. I mean, I'll just talk quickly because we're looking for something to talk about. So there's Tesla. Tesla breaks.
Oh, it fixed.
Great, man. That's a hot dog cannon of a day there for Tesla. We are out of it. This is probably the most money I've made on Tesla maybe all year was today. And again, it was a sticky note trade right there. Most money I've made on a single day on Tesla today, right now, right in front of everybody. So, I mean, I hope I was pretty calm as a cucumber, but we took this bid right there and then we reloaded it, topping up right here. So I would say this trade is probably 80% of our net. This trade is another 20% on that one. And then Palantir, we only had 10% left. We told y'all that. But look where Palantir just dropped it. I just was like, let's get out once we break even. We were long at 96s right here. And then that breakout, we showed you a breaking of 95. Get us those 94s. I think we got 90. Well, I think we got 94 halves. But at the end of the day, look where it bounces off of. A better trader or someone that wasn't as lackadaisical right now might have held that. Breaking through there, the 200 period. I just wanted to get out for flat. We probably could have done that. But again, sometimes you don't hold the 200, and this is not the setup for me. The 200 for me, if we're going to play it, is not in between the 50 and VWAP. It should be a lot lower or a lot higher than both of these. So whenever you're seeing something like that, obviously you get a nice trending market, which is why VWAP's all the way down here. And then you're going to get also big volume controlled at the bid, which at the open and then at the close will definitely influence how a volume weighted average price goes. Maybe today on Palantir, it's not something that we want to look at, but we did play it off here right away off the open. So now it's too far away. So I'm trying to play off that as a break level. Unfortunately, it didn't break, which is great for everybody that's long Palantir. We could have been a little more diligent and played more long there until it broke. So maybe we'll look back at that. Definitely a missed opportunity. That was not a call for Adara, no, okay. But all right, just want to look at another name that's doing volume right now. Intel is, always I feel like has to be on the watch here because we could get news at any moment. We do have the Benzinga Pro platform in our ear. We want to thank Firefly as well on our screen, but Benzinga Pro, also get that link in description. Go find it. We had this story on Friday, and on Friday when it broke, we actually had this play on Nvidia. I had the halt long and the early long. the point where, on Intel, where Intel turned out to be a decent play just off that level. So we'll wait to hear if Qualcomm is crazy enough to put a higher bid on this name or not. But for right now, I don't think anything's been official. We've heard Apollo maybe spoke up about it. And Qualcomm, I know there was like a $5 billion number being thrown around.
That was Apollo wanting to just invest.
I don't. Thank you for Tesla, by the way, Henry.
Even if they wanted to, like the sheer, I mean, there's so much that would have to happen from an antitrust standpoint, and then like it's crazy because the market cap obviously if Qualcomm's bigger, but like Intel's revenues are actually larger. It'd be a difficult pill to swallow because if they're gonna do it, like they'd have to, like they're probably gonna want to divest the foundry business. Like there's no way they want to pick up that. Why would they want that as well? So now you have to find a buyer for that or spin it off. Like there's just a lot that would happen for a deal that big. And it's like, would Qualcomm really want that headache, especially when the board's gonna need a much higher price? I would think to make them want to accept it when it's that beaten down. But I believe that was actually a call for Adair. Sorry to run on.
This part of the show is brought to you by Firefly Neuroscience. Firefly Neuroscience is revolutionizing brain health. Our groundbreaking brain network analytics technology is transforming care for patients with depression, dementia, anxiety, concussions, and ADHD. With 15 years of research and a wealth of brainwave data, we're set to illuminate the future of diagnostics and treatment. Pharmaceutical companies and medical practitioners, get ready. FDA 510K cleared BNA technology is here to supercharge your clinical trials and enhance patient care. Join us at Firefly Neuroscience, traded on Nasdaq as AIFF, and be part of the next big leap in neuroscience. Ignite hope, one brain at a time.
Yes, sir. Just a couple of things here. Jay Lee, I do want to get to this because I think it was a really good point that you just brought up about Munger. But first, there is resistance. Here, let me do this first. There is resistance line on Marvell. There is it breaking. So I'm out, slap the fail on Marvell. But there was right in here, we were talking, it was weird because we were just talking about the football and someone said, hey, it's really cool listening to like quarterbacks when they talk about, if retired quarterbacks, when they talk about the game and break things down. And Jay Lee said, I learned a lot from listening to Buffett and Munger, talking during the meetings. You listened also. Yes, although not nearly as much as I used to. Like when I was younger, when I was younger, I kind of grew into learning about the markets, obviously from being here and trading. But I listened to a lot of Kudlow and Kramer. I'm old enough to remember when that was a good show, and I liked listening to Warren Buffett, especially when I was starting to get money into the market. I don't really so much anymore because I feel as if, like, once you've heard it, you've heard it. Like, he's not usually saying a bunch of new things. Like, the understanding of value and going through the balance sheets, like, it's something that, like, once you've figured that out and buying good value companies, it's nice to listen to, but I find that I'm not always interested in the same names as he and, formerly Charlie Munger, I should say, we're listening to. May you rest in peace, obviously. But yeah, you always want to have people, or it doesn't have to be like a specific person. You can be into reading books, you can be into listening to podcasts, you can be into watching us. If you like Warren Buffett and his philosophies, then great, like listen to him. I think it's just more about constantly trying to challenge yourself with new ideas, right? Like be listening to something new or looking for something new pretty much on a daily basis. And I think if you've never listened to him break down during the earnings calls, like why they invest, it's always good for one or two. Maybe it speaks to you, maybe it doesn't. So DJT might be catching a bit of a bid here once again. So it is trying to break back into the upside. I elected not to reload after that wick at the 25, but this time I think I'm going to short the next pop. So it does hold on to the lower high, confirming the trend to the downside. So I'll look to roll into it around this 1250. If it breaks the 1250, maybe a little bit higher back into 1255, 56, where we had it from before. So we're looking to get back into this trend. Apple is very slowly breaking the low of the day. And when I say very slowly breaking, not the low of the day, the low of the afternoon, but it's just really struggling. It's just a sideways move for something that was trending down for most of the late morning, starting to run out of steam here. I still feel like this, if it breaks the low, we could get an actual test of the low of the day down at 225.80. But that is a long flat bottom break that is yet to really follow through here on AAPL.
All right, we have a new position. I know Neil was just shorting their Marvell. I'm going to short Nvidia right now. We're short right here at 116.20, pretty much, you know, near a high. Pretty much near a high. Looks like we'll suffer hopefully a good fate here with Nvidia. There's the push down in. I mean, right now it just went to 06s. I actually didn't have a bid until 116 flat. So we'll see if it can come back down. I mean, my stop is already in 116.40. So we're just taking this for 20 cents. That's it. If this goes 20 cents against us, fine. We'll scalp a little bit out here for 10 cents and just kind of just continue to do what we do, you know, every day here, you know. So yeah, let's go Nvidia. Hopefully it comes down. I don't know what to tell everybody. We're short right now Nvidia against this high. So yeah, unfortunately I'll have to edit this. I can just do it right here. This candle there, so we can see. Come on, Nvidia, bring it on down. Right now that's the wrong thing. There it is. Go like this. Edit for one candle. You see, shows a low 106, so it's missing like a 116 there. Let's do that, and let's do that. And now, magically, the chart is now fixed. So there it is. All right, so we will wait to see now if we can pull back in. Again, Nvidia, like I said, we just go back to the well. You know, me and Neil will trade a little bit different, where Neil tends to trade more names. I just kind of try to go back and stay focused on the ones. And again, it just depends on what's happening in the market. If you guys give us some ideas that we want to look at, we definitely will head over there like Neil did with that Marvell. But here comes Nvidia right now. It's 15 cents in the money. We're only looking, I mean, whatever. Instead of waiting for O's, we must just get a piece out right here at 05 if we can. Basically take it out. It's close to 1-to-1 there. If we can get that, we'll just wait at 05s. See if we can take a piece out. We're already out of 20%. We'll get out of another 20% and see if we can just sort of, you know, weasel our way into a short of
now you're weaseling.
Not epic proportions or anything, but we'll see what we can do right now. So that's what I'm doing. Will not be a big position for me. And again, you can always ask what positions maybe I have more confidence in or not. This is just a scalp. That's why we're just trying to wait 20 cents on this. If the market was actually doing something, if we were expecting something, then maybe I would be a little more excited. But if anything, the short, I think, could print now, which is why we're holding this. We're underneath VWAP, always a chance to go. You know, I'm always looking over, you know, trading to me, when you're at our stage, Neil and myself and Sharif and Obi, trading really is about P&L. I mean, so right now I'm looking at this opportunity and I'm saying to myself, how much more of what we've made here do we want to give up if this trade doesn't go well based on current market conditions? And like right now, the market's not doing a heck of a lot. So if we can just sort of add right now up to the net that we have and just continue to, again, hold the names that we've already held, hold the profit that we're already held, and just make our way into winning trades, that's great, without taking on too much risk. So for right now, the maximum position I'll have in this is probably like maybe 30 to 40% of what I would take during the open or on a time where I was a little more confident of something would happen. And Neil, as if we have a crystal ball, I mean, there it goes to the downside right there now going down. So we'll have to wait to see what winds up happening. But again, it's all about timing, right? I mean, I think that I was sort of going short there as the market was up here, and it wind up pulling back. So again, we talk about what trading is all about, instincts and being able to pull the trigger on trades that you like. And thankfully, it seems like lately we've been really hot on those. So far so good here. Hopefully everyone's enjoying everything, and we'll be able to give you some more winners.
Yeah, and Apple did break down eventually. Actually, just as I was finishing speaking, Apple did break that low finally. So a bit of a consolidation underneath. It's going to try to bounce here. There's room to the low of the day. And again, Apple was strong earlier, but I think when I did the lesson of the day too, I kind of ended with a comment about the daily chart. You should always zoom out, I think, for context. Like Apple, that's a reversal candle. So regardless of what happened with that 30 million sell imbalance on Apple, on the daily chart, it put up a reversal candle, and then when it put in a lower high today, it should have been a short. I don't know how far I want to chase this, but certainly it's about to break at 226 even. I suspect when you have a morning low like this, Apple's going to bounce off of this low here at 226. So I still won't mind getting picked up in this. Like I said, DJT's doing its own thing. Neil's not going to move. Neil's probably not going to move. I shouldn't speak in certainty with that. But looking for a bounce here in Apple to try and catch that short trade. Oh, and I wanted to get back over to like Boeing. Boeing is now barcoding for what would have been a good bounce level. But see what happened to the volume here? Like it got to the bottom, tried to pick up on volume, and instantly volume died on Boeing. So without any volume on a catalyst, I don't want the continuation play unless we're going to get a big pickup in volume. So if we can break back out 57 on volume, that would look a little better. I think you had to get that first available dip after the update on the machinist strike there for Boeing. They have until Friday, like we said. But Apple trying to bounce off 226 in here. If it's going to be a flat bottom break, that's 225.80. I'd like to think it's going to bounce before it gets there because it is Apple. Down 1% into an up market, actually. Nasdaq's up 0.17. The ES is up exactly the same. Apple, whoa, there's the 226. Okay, it just tried to bounce off 226. Broke, got to about 95, 94, and trying to catch a little bit of a bid here. So this could be the potential up move, holding on to that even dollar. Want to look to be a fade in here into this prior higher low from earlier on in the session. And yeah, I mean, today we'll be doing a fantastic job on the Learn to Trade because I believe they were talking about double and it was triple bottoms and triple tops specifically, I do believe. Well, Apple, not quite a double bottom yet, but it certainly was a double top on the daily. So here's the bounce coming at 226. I want to look to fade it right back into that prior support at 226 and a half. So far, the bounce is at least happening. Will it get far enough to fade it right back into this flat bottom break level? B-Chan saying Lumen is breaking out and K-Dev's looking at Cavill. Actually, it's Kavil, I believe, KVL. That one, I think it's kind of a bit of a dead cat bounce, if anything, on KVLs. That one's been trending down. Was tracking it this morning to see if it could have broken out $2. As you can see, it never did. Lumen, on the other hand, this one actually is at the high of the day, but it's not necessarily going out of control. It's a light volume, slow grind upside. And for Lumen, step one, good. It's breaking out on the daily, but it's got a lot of overhead resistance up here and not a lot of volume today relative to what you saw on Friday, nor is there a lot of volume as it's approaching the high of the day. Like, it's been very sporadic, this name. If it was more constant, we'd be in it. Like, I thought GameStop was going to be one today. Made that 22. Remember the 22 level from Friday? Oh, it's still holding 22, but it 22 high on Friday. We were trading this because it was supposed to be an upweight. GameStop, it did an up move, but then nothing happened at the close. So the only good long on GameStop on the upweight was to take it long going into the close. Today it broke 22 and got to 22.5, and that's pretty much been it. Still holding right in the middle is GME. Do like it, as long as it's above that 22. This one could be a nice little continuation play. It's trying to make this long consolidation break here, but all it gave you was about 45 cents if you took that 22 break today. Not bad, but I was expecting a bit more, to be honest.
I just put in the chat, guys. Of course, as we keep talking about this, you guys can tag us, ask us anything. I see that's been happening, so good job on that one as Neil covers some of those names there. And I'll cover SoxL for you. Tyler, ATX, and Coffee Trader. Tesla's back at 250 right now. Oh, yeah, getting close, 249.40 right there for Tesla. So, yeah, I mean, we told you where we got out. Broke that level. I mean, the futures, obviously Tesla's going Oppo. And I already told you,
Taco.
This is the biggest Tesla day for me, definitely of the month. I don't know if I said ever before, but definitely for the month so far right there. Good trading. Maybe the most amount on one individual name maybe this month for me. And this is the thing, we could sit here and say, oh, not much opportunity in the market. Not us, but just anybody. But that's a lie, right? Because you have to find the right stocks, and every stock has great opportunities in it every day. It just depends on what strategies you're doing and how you're trading. So, yeah, for Tesla, that's why I want to make clear to everybody that we're having a great day on this name, and despite it doing this, we should be long. So yes, to answer your question, who tagged me coffee, I actually like this break now. So I think I'll take it. I mean, breaking out higher, up 5% into a long market, hopefully into the close. It has to be a long market. But right now, I'm not getting that love. But if we can break above here, and I think Tesla will be one of the ones that helps us obviously get to this level, then I think we could possibly go. But again, Tesla does need, I think, a little bit of motivation to get going, even though it's stronger than the market. I still don't want to trade against the market.
You got to speak to it nicely.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know. We'll take it. But again, let's talk about share sizing then, because That's always in question. Not always, but sometimes. Like whatever I took here, I would probably take like 20% on a 250 break and have a little bit of a faster trigger on being wrong, just so I don't give it back. 320 right now. Like I said, my wife, Marissa, picked up some nice prosciutto because she had mentioned me today. She's like, what? There's 2 NFL games tonight. I was like,
I don't like
what?
that, actually.
I was like, there is? And it's so funny because in fantasy, I'm playing somebody that has all the Bengals. So I'm like, okay, I'm cheering against that guy. And then also with Josh Allen and all this. So like, I knew there was 2 games, but I just didn't clue in. But the problem is my daughter eats prosciutto like it's mortadella, like it's the cheapest meat around. So that may be gone
She likes it.
by the time, but just maybe gone. So I told her put some aside there, of course, for us into that. So we'll see if it is gone or not. She's on the ice again from 6:15 to 7:15. So hopefully I'll be able to get to that. And they have dry land training after. So I may miss a little bit of that first game.
Isn't it raining?
No, that's the thing. So it's not raining too bad. It's just kind of drizzly, but they won't practice outside if there is some rain. So just warning shots right now as the future's starting to go back up. Just real quick, Nvidia, our stop is at 40. We talked about that. If it breaks right here, we're stopped out of Nvidia. Our trade here, and we talked about it. Now we have it. We have about 20%. Any trade that I'm putting on right now is going to be in and around 20% of kind of what we're used to trading in this environment. So let's just ease back on kind of the share sizes right now and make sure that we trade properly and not super aggressively. I think that's the difference now. So, hey, if we can get a winner on Nvidia, fine. We're short now at 23. Let's put a bid, into the teens and then again, low teens. See if we can get washed out a little bit here on Nvidia and go back and forth and have a winner. But at the end of the day, we're 10 cents away from being stopped out right there. Our TQQ position is continuing to work for us, but still not at that high. So we'll have to wait for it. And then, yes, man, I do like that Nvidia talk. So we'll have to, that Tesla talk up here at 250. I think it's probably worth a shot long right there. So we'll give that a shot.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a good break earlier, and then
I think we'll still try it.
Obi was fading it. I think he shorted it.
Wow.
I don't want to speak for him. I'm pretty sure he shorted it. But when it was consolidating, it really just looked like a standard midday breakout because it got to 250. Can we come to the chart for a quick little second? There we go. Yeah, your standard, it breaks a prior high and then tests 250 and then essentially consolidates off that prior high. So while that was going on, if it gives up and the view up is a different story. But while it was going on, I'm like, okay, it's probably just the standard 250 breakout here. I guess it's going to happen. We'll see. I'm on the bid of NEO, and I said, look, NEO might be a trade tomorrow. BABA might be a trade tomorrow. They're not a trade right now. I'm just going to try to get out on the midpoint, probably just move the trail into like 540. Quickly, I don't remember seeing any particular reason why NEO reversed. All of the Chinese EV names were all down in the pre-market, and then NEO, I guess, just bounced off $5 and tried to go. But it's more like, $6 obviously, but it's got a little bit of it's kind of a bull flag with kind of lower highs and lower lows, but still a bit of a bull flag. If NEO can break this out, it does look pretty interesting. And then I wanted to acknowledge, Tesla's probably going to go, but I wanted to acknowledge in the chat, there was a great comment about Moderna falling apart here. Hey, we were talking about double bottoms a second ago. Moderna is about to maybe retest its double bottom. You can see it better on a 15-minute. Why is that still NIO? Moderna, there we go. So on the 15-minute, this is a recent low on Moderna. Tried to bounce off 64. Because it did bounce off 64, got to 75. Now working into a double bottom. This has been trending down for a while on Moderna. There's no point going back to 2020. You guys all know what happened with this stock.
Wait, what?
You can, if you don't know, then you can pull it back further. But trend down, flat bottom break. I'm going to write down, actually, I wrote down Moderna, then didn't write 64. I'm putting that on my iPad because I feel like that break could happen. It's not the same as Rivian's breakdown. Actually, in some ways, Rivian's break, see, what's weird about this, I actually think breaks like this on Rivian are better than Moderna because Moderna's is like a multi-year low. Whereas Rivian, it just kind of breaks this higher low and then you've got room to the next gap down. So it's like, okay, well, all it has to do is now trend from here to here. Whereas Moderna has to break 64 and then just start making a bunch of fresh lows when it hasn't been down there since COVID. pre-COVID probably. I'd have to go back and look. So I like these a little bit better, but Moderna still looks pretty solid. And Tesla, as long as we have time to 350, I don't ever want to. I wouldn't take a top break at 345. I don't even want it in the final 10 minutes. I don't want the imbalance to impact it at all. But it's not even 330 yet. So you have plenty of time for this to break out. I thought it was a breakout earlier, and obviously the short did come in for Tesla.
All right, so right there, we'll give back. We'll stop a fail on Nvidia, of course, as we told you where our out was, and it triggered. So we got out at 40s as it broke higher. We were short 33s. So we'll take a 7-cent hit there on Nvidia. But at the end of the day, it's a loss. So we'll give back a little bit on that one. Again, like there's some profit. There's the average in there. Oh, sorry, 23s. I said 33s. We're short at 23s. So we will take a 17-cent hit on that one. And the best we ever got was 15 cents. So net will be an L there for Nvidia on that last piece I just looked over. We gave back, but can't tell the math exactly, but about 15 to 20% of our net on Nvidia, which was a good stock. It still is. It's my second stock now. Palantir has overtaken Nvidia now on the day. Tesla number 1, Palantir now Nvidia with giving some back on that short. So yep, everybody was right about that one continuing to go higher. There was Nvidia, Palantir trying to go as well. Microsoft, Qualcomm, Meta. Meta was a name that I thought was at 60. There was some levels there that I really liked on Meta coming through. Where was it? Oh yeah, it was down here 63s. So we didn't take it. That's what it was. It does turn out to be a good trade, but again, a $500 name. I was pretty nervous. Like, see what was coming back in here a lot, riding that 50 period moving average was Meta. It was on the midday, and I remember I was almost going to say it to Sharif, and I almost said it, Dara's back at the desk now, and Obi there about this trade that I kind of liked the way it was setting up for the long based on some of this support. It was before this had happened, but it was on there. So it would have broke. So that's the whole thing that I'm trying to get at right now. I liked the trade right there, but it would have broke and we wicked down to that 62. So I was just looking sort of at where we were before this dump down on Friday with the rebalancing, and I want to see where Meta was. And right now it's just too back and forth here, I guess. But that was the level. So good thing we didn't take it. I want to talk about that level here at 63. It looks like 63 could hold, which is what we were looking at before. But if you do take a 63 long, you got to watch out for that 62.50 level, which probably isn't really enough room there on Meta. So we'll give that back. We won't give it back. We just won't trade it. That could be a good break. Tesla, I'm still making sure that that's not doing anything. Nvidia has really gone, so it looks like that was going to be a good out for us. There's the out. There's the move higher. No point in doing anything with this. What we wrote down on Nvidia today was 115 long, and that has been the best long. I mean, we had that long early. This is where we made all the money, and then we shorted and shorted again and lost. So net, we could have just stayed long and done much better on this name, but we just fought the short there, and the short won, so or the long one. Right there, 117 would be the next area. I'm just more excited about Tesla, but it's already 330.
Yeah, look, there's still some time for it to make that breakout, but we're running out of time there. Arlo, you meant who is behind the name Sean or Neil for Bears versus Bulls? I don't believe either one of us is behind. The best moderator in the business. First of all, if you're not in our chat, then you got to hit the subscribe. Right, hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you want to ask us questions, hey, this stock is moving. Hey, you want to ask about a small cap that you find interesting that maybe we haven't traded, that's fine too. But Bears versus Bulls, our moderator, I believe he came up with that himself. I don't remember if there is a story behind it. I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, we have the bear and the bull here, and I feel like it's been right. We have the bear and the bull, as it's been a very inside kind of day. Like there hasn't been a defined direction for it. Just a couple of things I did finally get out of NIO. Like I said, it's not moving. I think it can be a continuation play for tomorrow. DJT is starting to curl up a little bit here. Didn't get the reload at the 50 level, but it is now bouncing off of the 35. So if it doesn't hold on to this, every single low now, it's underneath that 2023 DWAC support level. I'm just going to call it that. But if it gets back above, this is the kind of area where you could make a bottoming candle. So if I didn't add to it, I'm just going to hold on. Trails at 41, and we'll see how far this wants to go down. NIO, we got out of it as it kind of bounced off VWAP there and now trending back higher. I know it was a short of a mean reversion, but the other thing I didn't mention about NIO is it's holding very weirdly this 200-period moving average. Like at all the rejections above and below the 200-period moving average, I feel like if it just closes a couple of days above and then breaks out the top, this does feel like a bit of a breakout trade. But today, it was a simple mean reversion. So I don't know if Tesla's going to give this opportunity. It's actually back underneath the $50 level, 249.50. So pulling back is Tesla. That does put a bit of a damper on any chance of a $250 breakout trade, especially this late in the session. As far as the early imbalances look, at this time on Friday, this would have been when we were telling you, hey, look at the early look imbalances on GameStop and Palantir, obviously. So far, it's SU, BAC, PCG, and Kenvue. There's always something still going on with Kenvue. Those are all nothing burgers. Although, oddly enough, a couple of Canadian banks to the downside. So I'll say the same warning I always do. If you're looking at imbalances on any Canadian banks on the New York, if you don't have access to see what the imbalances are in Toronto, I wouldn't trade off those at all. Because most of the time, if it's a big imbalance one way in New York, it's completely the opposite. In Toronto, when you get yourself rinsed, if you just think it's going to go down, TD's probably going to end up being a buy in Toronto. That happens all the time. And a bit of a bamboozler, for lack of a better term. I see GameStop an early look imbalance of $1 million to buy. That would be interesting. Although this was a disappointment on Friday because it had all the recipe, had everything you want. Expected upweight, squeezing higher, trending higher, and then all it did is go like a few pennies higher at the end of the day, where like it gave you $1 earlier in the session. Like at 2 o'clock, you could have had $1, and then on the actual imbalance, you could have had 10 cents. So, I mean, it was a good long. It just could have been a heck of a lot better. Let's go to Adara.
We're going to take a look here at some of these S&P 500 names making larger moves to the upside and downside that maybe we haven't discussed as much. We're going to start here with Moody's MCO getting a downgrade here from Raymond James, trading down by about 3% on the day for MCO. Next up, Vistra Corp, VST. This one also benefited from the rally that we had in CEG on Friday in that utilities and energy space, getting a outperform rating maintained here by Morgan Stanley with its price target being increased from 110 to 132. So VST, great look. Last but not least, we have Bob Warner here, BWA. This went up about 3%, announcing that it's going to be launching this passenger car twin turbochargers with regards to powering Corvette here for GM. So a GM Corvette supercharged here for Bob Warner, BWA, sending that one to the upside, guys.
Like a 4-for-1.
Yeah. I think I'm facing a guy I'm facing Vikram, who has Jaden Daniels. So it's going to be.
Yeah, Vic's team's terrible.
Hopefully we'll see if he can have a bad day today. I don't think so. So Jaden Daniels, we'll see what he's doing. Okay, so Nvidia, we did get stopped out there. Obviously, we talked about it. Our futures trade is here, but as Neil talked about, the imbalances coming out at 350 could definitely affect what's happening in the futures. So we'll just keep our order where it is right here. Break of 45, I believe, was it. Yes. So we'll keep it there and wait and see if that does come through for us. So that's going to be a trade there that I'm relatively interested in, a break lower through 45 in order to get stopped out. Maybe we'll put an offer right here at 75 and just end with a banger on the futures, right? I mean, I don't really have a reason to think this is going to take out the top. So why don't we just sit here and do it, man? $70.80. I feel like we've already sort of proven sort of the worth here on the futures. We bought it into support. So what I mean by that is, like, what else are we supposed to have happen here? It takes out the top, great, but on a day where there is not much happening, I feel pretty comfortable. So let's just offer out right there, like at 70, basically the top. The top rate here is 75, but whatever, we'll take that 70 if we're lucky enough to get it. So maybe that's a move here that we'll consider the stop out for that trade. That's the TQs. Other than that, we don't have anything else. XLE, I don't have enough hair to change my hair platinum. All right, XLE right here, 88. I'm not sure about the pricing on this. I haven't really been buying any XLE recently. I mean, I didn't participate really in any of this or of this. It doesn't mean that there's not opportunity here. I think the oil space has been getting beat up, and I still think it's a little bit undervalued, obviously. But at the same time, you're under the 200, under the 50. There's a lot of traders, and we could talk to some of the CMT guys there. I don't really care that much about that analysis as far as support and resistance. XLE is going to be a play, obviously, the oil services name. you know, you have to figure out, you know, stocks like Valero and things like that, and what stocks are really turning this ETF around. But at the same time, it's been a nice V-shaped recovery, just all the way back to the 200. I hold and buy some names in this just as sort of exposure to oil. I have very few shares in ExxonMobil or anything like that anymore. I used to be trading that, but now I don't. So we'll just have to wait to see what happens with XLE. I think it's a good proxy to hold names rather than oil itself. So I like the trade, and I think there's some good support down here if you're looking for levels, right where we wicked down to there, 84, 85. Like, that looks to be pretty good to me, bringing you all the way back to January. So it does have nice runs up, but again, there's worries. I don't think there's worries right now about a recession, but oil names can get hit there.
If you leave that chart over a second.
Yeah, just hold on a second. We did get out right there at the top of the day, so we'll hit sirens up right now for the TQs. Yeah, here's the XLE rate.
Only because I was going to mention another name. So if you keep it, I actually like a channel break on XLE. I've been
where? Which one?
So if you look at the two bottoms, and since it made the double top at 93,
yeah.
So you have those highs, the lower highs. Also like that channel. If you draw like the trend lines in,
see.
Yeah, I just want it.
You are starting to break right now, probably actually.
Yeah, so if it can start to break up the trend, it probably needs to get to. And when I look at trend lines, it has to close, like it's got to close above the trend line. Ooh, it wicked above the trend line, I'm going long. No, if your trend line's on a daily chart, it's got to close there. And on a weekly chart, it's got to close the week there. But I want to get to a super chat. And there's been a few questions about POET, P-O-E-T. It is breaking out on the daily very quickly, so you can get a couple of details on POET Technologies. It's only a 2% short float, but it's a 63 million float. It's done about 1/5 of that today, maybe a little bit, actually a little bit less than that, 1/6. But this is just a little bit different from typically some of the small cap charts that we would look at and sometimes rightfully say they don't look good. No, this is, look at the 50-period moving average on the stock. It is trending higher. The 200-period moving average is now actually rounding out. This is an upward trending stock in almost every single sense. You have to go up really far for it not to be. But if you look at the last couple of times when it's tested the top end of the trend, there's been pullbacks. So after like a couple of big days, it tends to have like these little dips and consolidations. So we'll see how it can hold out. Like the last few times when it spikes right down, then a couple of more updates. This one I had like 3 or 4 updates, 2 or 3 updates in here. I think you want to look to see if it can close a couple of days in the green, maybe a consolidation day for tomorrow, but closing at the high of the day today on POET. And thank you for the super chat here, Stephen. Thoughts on SMCI? We'll hit the like. Stephen QSM, we appreciate the super chat. We don't mind answering any questions. I guess Tesla's not going to break 250 after all. SMCI, don't forget, I mean, it might, but it's really slowing down. SMCI, they got the split coming up very quickly. I mean, it's going to be on the 1st that they do their split. I cannot remember a time where a stock did this. Usually if you're doing a split, like everything, it's cruising into a split. They got added to the S&P, and then they announce a split, and the stock essentially gives up the entire year. I can think of, in over 20 years, I can think of 0 times when I've seen a stock have those types of catalysts and end up giving that kind of a move up on SMCI. I feel like everyone's going to be trying to bottom pick it, but it just broke out a local bottom here attempted to break out a local bottom, I should say, at 475. And like I thought this was the kind of break that it should just start trending back into the upside. Instead, it gave it up. The only good news is that prior high from the previous week, at least a week and a half, it's managed to hold on to it. So it needs to hold these 460s. But if it can really kind of maybe shake out some weak hands, I suppose, and retake that high, it's got a huge gap. I think this can be a trade tomorrow. I just really hate the rejection of 475, that breakout today. You'd think this would have more juice to it, given how far it's come down when it finally started to break out, but it just couldn't hold on to those gains. Maybe you blame the rest of the space. I don't know. But a disappointing second half of the day for SMCI. I think it needs to retake the high before I'd consider long. The trend is your friend until the end, where it's trying to bend.
Looks like it's trying to bend for sure. Yeah, I didn't do much other than lighten the amount of shares I'll be taking on this Tesla break through 250. I still think it's worth it just to give a little bit of a shot to try to do that. Obviously, if you're playing 0-day options or something like that, it might be a little bit of a different situation. I don't know. what those look like. But 250 breaking, I mean, there's only, excuse me, you know what, I'm going to, where is it? Yeah, I'm going to cancel. I'm going to cancel it.
It's now 49.
Yeah, and again, yeah, part of the reason is it's actually very, very simple, the reason. And that is that there's 11 minutes right now until we get the imbalances. And we've seen the imbalances. What could wind up happening is, and I'm just using light shares anyway, so I wouldn't really care if I got wicked in. But at the same time, it's like if it comes a big buy, then it could run up to 250 and then just really just like make its move down. Like I don't want it to be reacting to an imbalance. I mean, unless it comes like, we'll definitely have to keep our eye out of that because you saw what Apple did on their imbalance. I don't think there's no reason for anything to be, you know, more than 10 million shares, let alone 30 million, like it was on Apple at 350 when this move happened from 233. Remember we were long here and we actually got out at the top pretty much. And then we had a stop order that triggered, I don't know where it was, but it was pretty much halfway through this move because it was back at the 200 period and then it just kept on going to the downside. We showed you some big days that were had by traders. And that was that Apple flush. So for right now, there's really no point in taking too much risk into the close. Someone's calling me, but it's not the barber. So we'll have to wait to see what happens here. 226.75 maybe as a downside push for Apple. If you get a nice little bump into the 200 period, you could take that. Now with only 10 minutes left, let's just continue to wait. The futures are going higher. We have like the best out, I think, right there for us. We'll wait to see if we can get it again. It was only 70.70, so pennies away. If you missed it, you could probably get that back in right now. Disney and Nike, I know there's some talk more about Nike today, $85, $86. So a red name, despite both markets being up, both the S&P and Nasdaq, Nike downside. So again, nice little level there at 86.50. Maybe we could see that for tomorrow. That's where it closed. Yeah, so that's basically, that is exactly where we closed on Friday, coming into the top again. So 86.50, look at that, 86.50, 86.50, 86.50, and then once again, 86.50. So we'll write that one down, just like we did on Rivian, and we take that one. I said, let's let Neil write that one down on his iPad. That Rivian break was huge to the downside there, and 86.50 for Nike could be something very much the same. So, all right, that's it, man. Not much else to look at for me today anyways. Would like some higher breaks. Nvidia's not doing anything. Mara, Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin's still 63.3. We had some IBIT love earlier because, again, it was the options were taking an effect for IBIT and, you know, not much happening there. I just feel like maybe it might just increase the volume here on IBIT because the more options that are written and so on and so forth, the more covering that could be happening either way, which could increase some volume here. I don't know if 15 million is high or low for that name, but the action does not give me any reason to go crazy for that. Roblox, $46, making moves lower, but...
I just wrote down Starbucks on my... Actually, it's a bit of a... This is a cheat. First of all, I got out of DJT, it just trailed out. We never actually added to the position. We just took the one short. We were looking to add here at 1250 and never got into it. It did not... It got very close to 10% down, but it did not tick 10% down. Now, what would be... I actually would hope that this gets to 10% so that it's SSR tomorrow, because if it's at a multi-year low, and you have to go back to when it was DWAC to be able to find this price, because for DJT, this is an all-time low. But if you go back to DWAC, which we did, if you're just tuning in now, here it is on a daily chart, which, oh, whoops. Oh, no. Yeah, sorry, they just got me. I wanted to get rid of this ad here on TradingView, and there we go. So there's like a multi-year bottom, the 2023 lows here. If it goes into this and bounces tomorrow and is SSR, that would be a great catalyst for a long. But you need a reason for this stock to go up. So multi-year bottom, short sell restricted, which means you need an uptick to hit the bid. Usually things will glide higher a little bit easier when that's the case. Yeah, I'll look at this one for that. And I've seen a lot of these really fantastic, everyone in the chat's like throwing food references for some reason. K-Fry just said harissa with maple syrup is pretty good. I am sad to say this. We ran out of maple syrup in my household for the first time in like half a decade. Like my in-laws, we harvest maple syrup of my in-laws once a year, although I didn't go this year. And it was not a very good year for maple syrup farmers in Canada. And we didn't get as much, and we've run out. I was using like It was actual maple syrup, but from like at a store. Like I'm like,
Oh, wow.
what the heck is this? Like I actually bought maple syrup in a store for the first time in like 5 years. It's just not the same as when it's the stuff that you've pulled out of the tree and boiled it. It's a lot of work to do, but it's very rewarding. And it's a heck of a lot better than sugar. But DJT still working to the downside. I'm not saying I'm going long tomorrow, just to clarify, but it's about to go 10% down. So it just ticked 10%. At least I saw it tick 10%. There you go. So that should be enough. It'll be SSR tomorrow. I'm not thinking a bounce play now. I'm thinking a bounce play at some point tomorrow with a bit of an SSR continuation play. So there you go. It's 10% to the downside on DJT. I mean, the better idea would just be it's a short till it's not, but it needs a catalyst. And to me, 10% down tends to be a pretty solid catalyst for DJT. Moderna has a flat bottom break tomorrow, potentially at 64. Oh yeah, I was saying I was adding Starbucks to the list. It's not that I think Starbucks is going to break $100 tomorrow, but every time I look back over at this, Sean will mention Nike, and I'm like, oh yeah, what's Starbucks doing? Did it break 100 yet? Still putting in higher lows for this potential break of $100 on Starbucks. And as long as it holds on to 90 support, one day it's going to break $100. I just want to be sitting down at the desk when it does. We waited for this one too, and it just never happened.
We supported a maple syrup fundraiser, so I actually have like a big, huge thing of like fresh maple syrup from up north.
Have you tried it in coffee yet?
No.
It's
You try in coffee.
Sweeten your coffee with it. It's even better.
I don't put any sweetener in my coffee.
You know, like the crystal. You can get like the crystallized maples. Sometimes it gets crystallized like a little bit of a candy. If you get that and then put it in the coffee, oh, that's the best.
Those crystals.
Like let it drip into the cup, and it just kind of diffuses in there. Man, I love maple syrup.
Yeah, maple syrup's a good one. Okay, so maple syrup prices will go high due to inflation. Yes, maybe.
I want French toast for dinner.
There's potential. Yeah, French toast is always a good one. Right there. I don't know what we're doing. All right, so
Cancel test.
maybe another shawarma party. No, hopefully not. Okay, so let's go. LASE is ripping, so we can have a quick look at that if people want to look at this one. Again, Photonics Corporation right now. So we'll have a quick look. $19. I know this is a name that we've talked about a little bit today, but not traded it. Yeah, what a great break there of 18 and still going higher here as LASE making those moves to the north side. So again, congratulations anybody that happens to have been on this one. $19. We could probably zoom back out. I mean, I haven't looked at this, so I don't know enough. Yeah, I mean, no point in zooming out on this. Huge move to the upside. I say you always want to fade off of that top wick, so you got to get out if it breaks 19.25. Watch out for liquidity issues into the close. On names like this, it can tend to dry up in the last couple minutes. Yeah, so 19.25 is that high. I would say you short it. I wouldn't short it. I'm just like, that's where if you are short, you have to punch out at day's high at some point, I would think. So to me, that's not a bad spot. 19.25. It could be a good little play back in though, right? As more and more traders may take profits here heading into the close. I want to look at that. The other problem, again, about all of this is that there's no sort of rules in the aftermarket. So it has been known that when stocks can start going, as the kids say, ham here, that could happen in the after hours on a stock like LASE. Again, 12 million shares we could probably look at. The float, it's probably not.
It's laser focused.
It's laser focused on the float, which is probably very low. So I'll double check that for everybody. Just quickly right now, LASE, just so you guys can all know. If you're in it, it would be a good thing to know. They have $2 million in cash. Their change since January is 150% or 1,500%. Market cap of just 296. I don't know what the float is on this. Doesn't say it on here, but we will get that for you hopefully in a couple minutes. Volume right now 12 million, shortfall 14 on LASE trying to go.
With only 2 minutes to go to the imbalances, just double check back in on the early looks. SU grew a little bit, so I mean it's just SU 4.5 million. PCG, we've seen this on the locator. It never really, it doesn't usually amount to anything. Kenvue never amounts to anything. BAC 2 million to the buy side, early look. A couple in the Canadian banks in there. GME was on this at 900,000, but it's seemingly gone now. Palantir, 900,000 to buy on Palantir. That's not all that significant, but probably worth keeping an eye. For myself, the two biggest movers on Friday on the imbalance locator were Apple and maybe I guess Palantir. I feel like those are the two places that I want to look. in anticipation in case there is a trade right at 350. So it was a huge sell imbalance, like 30 million sell imbalance on Apple that caused that move. Ideally, it would be a buy here off of these lows. I think it would be a much better. If there's a big sell imbalance at the low of the day, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole. Sell imbalance, I like shorting off of a resistance level or a top, not trying to break out the bottoms because then you really need the imbalance not to get paired. In this case, if it was a buy imbalance, you just go long in front of the bottom, which is a pretty simple trade. So less than 1 minute to go. When these hit, I'll be looking at, actually let me get a level 2 up of Palantir. I just realized I didn't. Apple and Palantir. If they come out as big imbalances, it needs to be a buy on Apple for me to be interested.
It was LASE there, someone in the chat asking what's up, hey Davis and everybody else, and then we get a proper paradox saying 9.5 or so million on LASE. I'm just going to keep Apple up because we saw a huge move on this name on Friday to the downside on a big sell imbalance. We'll see if it hits again. I am willing to punch, you know what, short on this if it does come out. So here we go, 2 and 1. All right, Amazon's a big bid right now. Meta is there as well. There's Amazon. Wow, there goes Amazon. We talk about some of these names.
Why couldn't Apple do that?
Stronger and stronger. There goes Amazon. Nice move up 195. Looks like vacation has been ignited now. Nice move there to the upside as we continue to go. Amazon taking out days high, 194, 194.50, going higher and higher and higher now for AMZN. So boom, right there into the high of the day. Could be pulling back, and that's why very, very risky, right? Like, I mean, nice move up there. What'd the futures do? They started going up as well. So there's that last little bump for Amazon due to what I would think would be the imbalances.
Tesla sell imbalance, 1.3 million.
Look where it got to. 250
right
flat,
250.
and then went to sell imbalance. Yeah.
And Meta's a 1 million sell imbalance as well. So Tesla 1.3 to the sell side, Meta 1 million to the sell side, Amazon is the big one up 2.3. So I mean, obviously, if that happened on Apple, we would have been interested. But Apple does not have any imbalance, just hanging out at that low of the day. See, that's where like a sell imbalance on a stock that's at the high to me is a better trade because you're not just taking it because of the imbalance, you're taking it in front of a resistance level and you just so happen to have the imbalance going with you. I never want, unless I need something else to be with the imbalance for me. Whether it's I'm expecting something on a rebalance day or like an index addition, or it gives you a level to trade off of. So I think that if you were looking short on Tesla, congratulations. I was thinking the reverse. Apple at the low of the day look for a buy imbalance. Instead, I mean, Tesla gave you the short. It's always easier to want a long idea than it is a short idea, I find. It never even occurred to me to look at Tesla 250 for an imbalance.
No, I mean, it was up there and then it came. So I'm actually going to take it. If it breaks 250, I'm going to take it right now. So let's wait to see if it does that. We'll give it about 50 cents worth of room on very light shares for Tesla. Like we said, we're having our biggest day in a long time, what I can remember on Tesla. So I'm going to just sort of just roll with a good vibe and see if we can take that out right there on TSLA. So a nice little topside move, hopefully for Tesla on a break. And again, we've seen it before where it can flip up. So we'll see if the imbalances want to flip up there on Tesla at 355. So it's only 52 right now, 52.20. We'll play it on the break. I don't know. It's not huge shares, but I don't really want to give it to $1. You might have to, though. Like that wick down there, I'm just going to try to give it 50 cents. Like if it takes 50s and we're right, we should be able to get 50 cents. So if we're going to try to be smart about it, I kind of like the risk to reward here on Tesla right now. So we'll put that bid through. If it takes 250, we'll wait. We'll grab that one. And I don't mean to get off of this. Google right there with the sell to the downside as well. There's the Google push down. So I don't like that one as Google's pushing down lower right now into the sell imbalance. Nvidia also just turning a sell. So it's like 116.60 stopping on a dime. Again, like the trade, but the imbalance is definitely having an effect on some of these names. So let's just continue to watch Tesla. This is the one name that I'll be into there on a break. Apple, downside 226, like the stock, but don't like the action over here today. Shouldn't be down 1% in an up market. So Apple, definitely warning signs there for me on that.
Microsoft too.
Yeah, let Microsoft down too. They got downgraded, so I can sort of be like, we'll wait on that one, but we'll wait to see now with Tesla trying to break through 250. My wife's asking me, do I know anything about us not having any more provolone?
Huh?
No, I don't know anything about that, man. My kids are just,
I gotta assume
they're crushing everything. Do I know anything about it? I'm going to say, look, at our kids. There we go. So no, I do not know anything.
If I finish something in the house that I know where it's like, okay, well, we're supposed to have more of it, like we expect to. Hey man, like we order a lot, so I'll just go to like Walmart and order, replacement. If I eat all the trail mix, I gotta make sure I order some, man. Like you kill the Joe, make some mo. Like that kind of mentality has to be there. I know you would too, but I'm gonna guess that was probably a Baron thing.
No, I think it was a
Oh, it was Geo. Okay. So like I'm not going to take this 250 break. It's getting a little bit late. So we're at 355. I'm going to look to see if maybe there's like a bit of a reversal here. Like Amazon, which was a buy and balance of 2. You could always get a bit of a pairing event on Amazon. Wow, it's going to break that 250 as we speak. Right at 355 here. Remember, it was a sell imbalance. So if it were to flip to a bid from a sell, that could be a big one here with only a couple seconds. I'm going to keep it on the imbalances just in case you see something pop off on Tesla or any of them. So Amazon did pair off. I don't even see it anymore. It was a 2 million buy. It's now gone. I don't see Tesla. Palantir remains a buy of like 900,000 shares, but that's not all that significant at all. So Amazon did pair off. Tesla, no imbalance of any note. It was a sell. If it flipped to a buy, then it was small enough that I didn't see it. So no break of the 250 yet with 4 minutes to go. Amazon, of course, pairing off, and there is a bit of a rejection of that high. So if you were looking for a reversion on Amazon at the top, congratulations, you just got it. Selfish part of me wants Tesla to break 250 tomorrow, I guess. But there's almost no chance it does. If it makes this test here, I feel like it either gaps down or is I think it's probably going to gap above this level tomorrow, to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, I still have the order in, even though there's only 4 minutes left. I'm trying to be very, very careful. I wasn't going to give it too much room on the break. So we'll try to be patient with it. Like I said, 50 cents back down to the downside. We're just going to try to see. Because if it goes, it goes. We can put a cherry on top. If it doesn't go, I mean, the math is like less than 10% of risk into this if it does break back down below. So we'll just try it here. Only 4 minutes left right now on this name that is Tesla. So we'll wait to see if it breaks higher through 250. What else is here? Ford with a bid. Intel with a bid. I mean, everything's pairing off. So
I am going to mosey on over to the desk.
Yeah, okay, good luck.
Hey, we got the aftermarket show. Well, I mean, good luck you in fantasy as well. I mean, you're trying to pull it off with 2 Monday night games.
I know, it should be exciting.
I'm only going to watch the Bills game. I'm watching the Bengals. But you know what? Watch. I'm not even going to use my crutch. I don't need this crutch.
Yeah, you don't need that crutch. You don't need that crutch. You're a real man. You don't need no crutch. All right, so good luck on that one, Neil. Hope you do not fall. Okay, so as we go, let's just continue to watch out for everything that we're talking about here. Really, why am I on Intel, really, guys? I just want to see if Tesla does something. And again, 249, if we break below, then we'll get out. But here it comes. We'll see if we can get a nice bid going on here, a breakthrough 250. Hey, even 3 minutes. I mean, we'll take it. We'll take it and see what happens over the next couple minutes. Of course, we have to be flat at the end of every day here on Trader TV Live. So we can't be in this for too long, but we could still be in it for maybe even a couple minutes after. So let's just see what winds up happening right now for Tesla. Breakthrough 250. Remember, liquidity will dry up on this name. So this might be a little bit foolish to do this. I'm just trying to see if we can get a quick scalp. I think we can get $1, and I'm only risking 50 cents. So this is what I think can happen right here if it does break. Wonder if we get like that break fake. But if there's not enough people hanging around here right now, then maybe there's no one to stop this move, which is what I'm thinking. Been wrong before many times. Shout out to my wife there again on the chat. And I don't know what a world without provolone even looks like, but apparently it looks bad in my house right now as there is no more provolone, which makes me think that my wife, we talked about the prosciutto earlier. Maybe there's a nice charcuterie board getting set up for after hockey practice and for a little bit of the baseball, the football games tonight, as we like to watch all that. And my daughter was really happy that preseason hockey started last night with your Toronto Maple Leafs losing 6-5 to the Ottawa Senators in overtime. So not bad. All right, I'm going to now cancel. Let this Tesla trade, even though there's only a minute left now, not worth it for me to do this. We'll wait for it. We haven't given back really that much here today in the after hours. We didn't trade anything poorly. We were short on Nvidia that one time and got stopped out of it, but let's just continue to watch. Here goes Tesla right now. Let's see if we're right. It's not about being right or wrong. Let's just see if there's enough liquidity to carry the day here. With only a minute left, it is, in my opinion, somewhat irresponsible to get into Tesla with only a minute left when we have to cover up our trades at the end of the day. So just to make sure I've canceled all of my stop orders. We now do have less than 1 minute now to go. All right, what else do we want to, I mean, we could just continue to watch. I'm just sitting here watching this just in case. Apple's bouncing. Amazon, the story of the day, really later on in the day there, as it continued to go higher, approaching that Jeff Bezos level of $2 billion. I'm going to still continue to watch out for Tesla here. Just feel like it's one of the most exciting names that we could possibly look at. Thank you so much, Bears versus Bulls, again, for your kind words. Oh, look at that size there. So 700,000 shares there on Tesla at 250 on the Nasdaq. So that is a completely live order. So if we might want to even clip this right now. If Kathy Wood wants any shares right there, they're available. Each one of these is 100 lots. So 6,000 right there on Tesla. I love this situation. I would really punch that right now if the market was more legs. But right there, 3, 2, 1. We are sponsored by Firefly Neurosciences, revolutionizing brain health. Thank you to Firefly right there. So it does not break, but doesn't mean it won't break. Look at Tesla. Starting to hit more. There it goes. Whether or not it's still there or not, we are starting to break there on Tesla. So, hey, thank you so much. Thank you to Firefly for sponsoring the closing bell there. Thanks to Adara for coming back and ringing that closing bell. But there's Tesla. It broke, but it didn't. I just want to tell everybody that. There still is NASDAQ size there. So I think just at the close, just with the closing auction, it had some prints above, but it definitely was not the NASDAQ gateway because that's still there with 50,000 shares. So a little bit of a wild close there. I don't know. Someone violated whatever the rules were probably. It must have been an exchange that printed higher for some reason. So watch out there as the SOS bandits have to have a conversation because you're not supposed to be able to break a live market order, which I know NASDAQ was there. So a little bit of back and forth. Could have been a dark pull, probably was. Thank you so much for watching. Wow, what a day. We just started hitting our water at the end of the day. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Again, another successful day. We'll hit the sticky note tomorrow with bigger and better bangers. Thank you so much for watching. Without any further ado, if we're ready, Ramin. Thumbs up as she says that. Sorry for throwing the chocolate and hitting your head earlier. That was my bad. But good aim, but my bad. Let's go back over now. It's Neil. It's the Market Recap Show, and it's 4:01.
Thank you very much, Sean. I'll tell you right now, if the chocolate is delicious enough, you can throw it at me all you want. Like if it bounced off my head, if I catch it, if I don't. Those Kit Kats were delicious. Big shout out to Lava Girl for sending those Kit Kats for us. I know Ramin enjoyed them. But what a move there at the end of the day. Sean's right about this, that 250 level break. I mean, look, that 250 level effectively did not break. I don't care what the wicks say. They're like dark pool prints and whatever printed above it. So 500,000 shares on the offer of Tesla. Someone selling it into the close, but it doesn't really matter. Big up move here as this is the kind of day where there was a lot of early strength in the market, and a lot of it was led by multiple names. Let's call it was Tesla, it was Meta early, it was only Tesla late. Tesla and Amazon late as Meta gave up those moves. So, we obviously have something going on with the Mag 7 where they're not going together. You got to be able to separate them. Tesla up 5 points here today, leading the session. Amazon going to end up positive. It was Apple holding it down to the downside, and obviously Microsoft as well, not looking too good. We had some continuation plays on Friday. We had Palantir and Dell both added to the S&P 500. Distinctly different days for those two names, as I can show you Dell exactly flat. So on their first day of trading in the S&P 500, Dell does absolutely, getting back into the S&P 500, I should say. Dell was in it before years ago, but for the first time ever, maybe this has something to do with it. I don't think it does. I just feel like Palantir with a strong move up that 2% here. Bit of a pullback at the end of the day, but unbroken on the daily chart. So still working to the upside. Palantir. First day, so far, so good. That's already better than when SMCI was added to the S&P 500, although we'll see if that one can make a little bit of a bottoming candle as well. That stock has been trying to get off of the schneid just a little bit. it's one of these days where there's a lot of inside moves. And when I say inside moves, if you have a look at what the overall market did, the SPY's been a beast. So held above previous highs on the SPY, and we talked about this, but it's a flat day. And it's a flat day where you tried to break the high several times. You tried to even break the lows. You're going to end up at least holding on to green. But I'd say a little bit of a disappointment. You had to be where things were moving. We already talked about Tesla a little bit, but I do want to acknowledge where you did have some moves. Biotech, yuck. This is going to stand out. In the afternoon show, we were talking about a couple of traders were mentioning Moderna, and I'm going to get to that in a quick little second here. But XBI down 2 1/3 today and trending down the whole way. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no point at which this was anything but a sell event here on those names. And it's a rejection of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a quintuple top on the daily. Quintuple top on the daily, breaking right back into the 50-period moving average in almost one shot. The majority of this pullback happened just today. Now, while that doesn't look very good today on the daily, it is worth mentioning you're still holding on to an upward trend here. It's still higher highs, higher lows into a flat top on XBI. So on the longer term sense, I still think this is obviously trending upside as long as it can hold on to the 50 period. I mean, the 200 period more importantly, but maybe the trend that it formed after that 50 period break. I think if you're looking at XBI, I think you've got a little bit of concern if it loses probably that little trend in here, or maybe you connect it from there. But still a bit of a ways to go. We could lose the 50 period. It already did that twice and got back to the highs. So the 50 period hasn't been respected recently. It's a 200 period moving average that looks a lot better there. And the name that, well, quite frankly, the name that stinks the most is Moderna. Only down 2% today is Moderna. And I say only because, I mean, 2% here, 2% there, it's going to add up. And what it adds up to on Moderna is a potential flat bottom break. You pop this on the daily chart, and this is why I was writing this down on mRNA. You've got a double bottom at 64. Then you've got November lows from last year just underneath that at 62 change. Yeah, Moderna's at the Alamo right now. And the question becomes, can it hold on to the bid? Because if it can't, we know how this stock can flush. So that's going to be a big one. Another one that we want to look at here going into today. And again, it was a lot of things that were trending up and down. We'll get to some of the other sector names. We already mentioned this with DJT. It did get to 10% to the downside today, continuing its downward trend. When you zoom out, it's now at prices that it hasn't seen since it was DWAC. So before it turned DJT, the SPAC, of course, I mean, $10 will be a level for that, but about 12.45, 12.50, this bottom that just got broken. If it can hang on to the line here, it's going to be short sell restricted tomorrow, down over 10% today. That would portend an opportunity for a bit of an SSR bounce on this name, which could certainly use one. We did mention in the afternoon show at least a little bit about oil. I think more in the lines of we're talking about XLE. We didn't really go over anything else there, but USO, very similar, down 1% here on the United States Oil Fund, and still very much in a downward channel. If you're into this sort of thing, I'll be the first person to admit I'm not a golden cross or a death cross trader. Like if on the daily chart, the 50 period crosses the 200 period to the downside, I'm not panicking on one of my long-term holdings. I'm not automatically buying a stock that I like because it does a golden cross. That said, USO has a down day tomorrow. It's going to do a death cross. So take that as you want. I know a setup that we were mentioning with Chris Brecher last week was if people look at death crosses and like shorts, then I really like any kind of a long setup off of that, which might trap people that are looking at that pattern. So USO, if that can actually do the death cross and then break this consolidation, this would be the trade that we're mentioning with Chris Brecher. We come to the chart for a second again. Last week we were talking about this with Chris Brecher. Now it hasn't done this little cross yet, but another down day and it will. So if you do a death cross, hold the higher low, and then break back out the top, then it traps anybody that shorts it because one line crossed another, and then all you get is an actual price action breakout. I'll take a price action breakout or a price action move over a line crossing on a chart any day of the week, and it's a line crossing on the chart told people to do the opposite. Heck, more power to you there. It wasn't all bad. Stay on the weed, apparently. So MSOS, got to talk about the names going to the upside, 5% to the upside on MSOS. And last week we were talking about this trend to the downside on MSOS, not yet broken out, but I like a break of a trend. So as long as you're holding on to this trend down and you're losing this 50-period moving average and you're not really breaking out above 7.25, then I'm going to stay away from it. But heavily, it's a decent short name. A lot of people short on MSOS in a general sense on the cannabis names. But if it can get back above, close above 725, break it out here, this looks like an awesome potential trend reversal. So a bunch of things that we are keeping eyes on. And I'm going to save, obviously there's a 5% update on UNG. And I'm going to save that for a little bit later because we have a certain Mr. Michael Noss coming up, and when he's ready, we'll bring him on. I don't mind bringing him on early, but I did want to, before we do that, I just want to double check back in on Tesla. As you know, it was making that $250 test right up at the end of the day. Big move on Tesla today. Easily, no questions asked. You're going to have individual small cappers that might have had bigger days than Tesla, obviously. But in terms of the big names, this was the one. Tried to break 250 right there at the end of the day. Tried to break 250 a little bit earlier in the session, but 5% to the upside. Tesla was your banger. The other name which actually held up some strength was Amazon. Obviously not nearly as strong as Tesla, but it was still one of the stronger Mag 7 names actually holding on to gains, but only up 1%. Like this was almost a Tesla and Tesla only type of day. Amazon, the good news here, I'm just didn't actually mention this in the afternoon, but Amazon, it's still the over under 190. It's over 190. I'm only looking long on Amazon. That simple. Holding this higher low, it was a head and shoulders with two shoulders and now two shoulders, but it broke it out. It didn't fail it. It's breaking back toward the high. I feel like we're going to get a test of 200 on Amazon. Going to be looking for some continuation tomorrow on that particular name. Not a lot moving around after market. That's why I came back to look at that Tesla 250. I actually do believe it's a lot of times where a level is this big and it's that obvious, the next step is that it gaps away from that level. And as much as I love when we hang here and hold a higher low for a potential 250 break, I do feel like the next thing is going to gap away from this level, hopefully not a gap higher. I'd like it to gap lower and then be able to play back into the 250. But hey, you got to trade the price action, something our guest I know is very familiar with. So without further ado, let's get into some trader talk. We got the Nas boss himself time to give us the goods. Welcome, Michael Noss, our good friend from Trade Ideas. I use it every single day. I know we all know it and love it, but you should have a smile on your face. UNG. Michael, what's going on?
I'm very happy about my UNG trade. I have to remind myself sometimes that it's a bull market. There are times like these where you can pat yourself on the back a little bit too hard. But yes, UNG, China, there's been a lot of ideas that I've put money into recently that are doing well, nuclear being one as well. But yeah, UNG has been absolutely fantastic breaking out today. I held my hand. I was going to take some off the table into the close. That might end up being a bad decision, not doing that. But I do think we've got a little bit of room to go. So just to recap people, the basic idea with UNG, without getting too cute with it, is that this area, $15 to $14 back here, I had a nice little trade on as it pushed up here. We had a little buy tag from our trade wave indicator. It was right at the same area, potentially putting in a little bit of a fake out. So I bought it at around 15 as it went through this level. Now we're up to 16, so pretty good percentage return already. I'm hoping there's some people caught short here, but again, I don't want to pat myself in the back too hard, especially on something like natural gas, which I could wake up tomorrow and this could be $13 a share.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing. Just quickly before we move on, because I have a question specifically about UNG. Snowflake moving around here. There is a It's trading lower. Company announced a $2 billion private placement of senior convertible notes. For those asking what's going on with Snowflake, there is the move down. It dropped about $4. It was up on the session, now down in the aftermarket. But just tracking back into UNG. So, as you said, like it's the kind of name that, I mean, it can move around and do just about anything. Yeah. But when I look at this, it feels as if, okay, did the break even happen yet? Like, it feels as if like you got the first break, but the second break would almost be more spectacular. And I'm sort of talking about like the 200 period trend line. Like that's the trend line that it's been respecting as resistance. Mm-hmm. So my question would be, like, do you add to swing trades? Like, I'm going to break out off of the low, but now it's making a secondary break. Is this a left brain, right brain? That would be a separate trade. Or do you think, hey, this is a continuation. I should be adding and averaging up on this name? Because the way that it's respected the 200 period moving average, that feels like it's the bigger level if it can close out above it. And you'd be long going into it. It's kind of like being long Tesla 245 before it breaks 250. As a trader, that's a pretty good spot to be in if you like an ad.
Yeah, I know you should. Like, it's one of those things. Never ever add to losers. We know that. Adding to winners is definitely the right thing to do. I do it rarely. It's one of those things that sometimes mathematically that it's the right thing to do, but there's that kind of human psychology of letting a good trade turn to a bad trade. Yep. So if I add, which I do periodically, and if we do get some sort of consolidation around that 200 and a break, that's something that I was thinking about doing, is adding to it. I always just add less. So, say you took 1,000 shares for your first trade, maybe your ad is 500 shares or something like that. Not quite doubling up or creating it like a new trade, but adding in a little bit more. But yes, if you are very, very systematic and you can pull your emotions completely out of your trade decisions, then yes, adding to winners definitely works. We know adding to losers definitely doesn't. But yeah, with this one, it can just go wild in either direction. So I would love to get an ad through that 200 if I could, just because if we get back to the chart I have up here, if we get back to where we were before, that's, $20, $22, right? So a buy at 14 and then maybe even an ad at 17 and then an out or at least a partial out at $22. That would be amazing. I'm not expecting that we get all the way there. I need to remind myself that we are in a trend. So each of these rallies ends sooner than the rally before it. So if that pattern ends up breaking, things could get wild. But for me, I need to understand that the pattern is that we're going to reverse before we get to this 22. So I need to be cognizant of that as well. So yes, if it sets up perfectly, I'll look to add, but it will be a smaller than my normal position.
Yeah, you got to have a rule, but I love that you have the whole, if I'm not a huge fan of it, then just take it as a smaller position. My rule is, generally speaking, like if it sets up a second trade, first things first, like I won't take the second trade unless I can find myself a new out that I like as much as my previous stop. Like if I can't do that, it's like, well, I want to add to it. It looks good to add to it, but I don't know where I'd like to get out outside of my original stop order. I don't want to add to a position if I'm just going to use the original stop in a general sense. I want to have a new price area that indicates wrong to me because I don't want to give it all the way back. Speaking of things giving moves back or maybe not giving them back, Wingstop's not stopping, Michael. And there was a few people in the chat saying a thank you here for that, because I think the theme that you had, correct me if I'm wrong, last week, you came on a couple of times last week, and you were mentioning statistically buying things off of trending into highs, consolidating in front of all-time highs is a good spot to get in. It's counterintuitive because for a lot of us day traders, if I see a really big double or triple top in there on the daily, my first thought is, hey, it's a fade or a break. Why would I buy it right in front? But in the longer term sense or in the swing sense, this can work. And Wingstop, it's now at that high, or at least, spitting distance. Wingstop is to it. Probably going to get there anytime soon. What are your thoughts on this one going into what looks like a double top test probably tomorrow?
I'll always tell you guys I am long Wingstop from that. I think that was actually last Monday.
Yep.
So the idea was just a break of this trend line as things were moving higher. Look at the monthly chart down here. This thing's just it looks like Nvidia, just the way this thing's rocketing. So yes, there's a lot of academic studies. There's a lot of published pages and pages of information that most people don't need to read, but of course, the nerd I am, I definitely read them. Tons and tons of studies of if you buy things that are making new 52-week highs or new all-time highs, you outperform the market on average, as opposed to buying things that are selling off. For us swing traders or longer-term traders, the whole buy low, sell high, I think is like the worst saying that's ever been created for traders, because quite often it's the opposite. We know trend following works. We know that asset prices trend. So we want to buy things that are making new highs, and we don't want to buy things necessarily that are making new lows. And that was just the very simple play. This was a very strong name, consolidating, like you mentioned, around that all-time highs. It's starting to look a little bit overextended to get to this new high. So it all depends on your time frame. If you're scalping this thing, then maybe this is a good little bit to take off the table. If you're someone who's, more longer term basis, you may wait for some sort of weekly chart rejection or revision just to see, because if we can get through here, it gets through 425, 500 doesn't seem off the table for a name like this. It's a $12 billion market cap, so it's in that mid-cap space, and I really like that mid-cap space because small caps can be problematic because they're usually bad companies that aren't making money. Large caps can sometimes be problematic for swings because they're too big and they don't move too far, so you have to take profits quicker. This mid-cap space, it's a $12 billion company. Would really anybody in the world care if Wingstop grew to be a $15 billion company by, moving another, 20 or so percent higher? You're not going to it's not going to double. You're not going to light the doors off this thing, but it's up 388% year to date. So I wouldn't be shorting it anyway. So my plan is that if I see any sort of struggle at these highs, I'm going to take probably 2/3 of the position off and then just let that other third ride, just in case this turns into like a Chipotle or something crazy like that.
Big, or a Kava. Kava looks pretty good too as well, although, it's done its own move, which is pretty respectable. And speaking of the short, it's not a huge short float, but it's still just under 5% of the shares short. And remember, that's not completely updated. I think usually, to me, if it kind of consolidates off of this high for a couple of days, that might mean that percentage goes up, and then a breakout looks even better. But I have to say this because as much as we're giving you credit for, I know you're in the trade, it's a great trade, and we gave you full credit for it. I have to also shout out Ramin, our production crew, who has been saying Wingstop is the ish for a very long time. So she's been calling it a long. It's been a great long for both of you. I can't believe there's like 3 of them here. I don't know if there's one out there, and I don't know if there's one in Halifax, to be honest with you. I'm guessing no.
No, it's too small. But maybe the closet technician. I don't know if maybe saw the trend or just doing, what do they call it, channel checks. If you go into one that tastes good, then maybe you just own a little bit for that reason, if none other.
But you can't even celebrate the win by having a little bit of Wingstop. I think that's a little bit disappointing. They need to get one out there. Maybe you make enough on it, you get your own franchise out there. The problem is nobody goes out east to eat anything but seafood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but look, that's a rocket ship to the upside. And that's going to be my little segue, because I wanted to ask you about Rocket Lab. And so I sort of hinted at the small short float, or relatively small short float, that Wingstop has. Mm-hmm. Now, RKLB, and I know this is a name, you tweeted about this earlier, an 18% short float. And it fits that theme that you were mentioning of, hey, on the daily chart, it's breaking highs on the daily when you look at it on the year. Now, when you zoom it out a little bit more, like you go back into late last year and it's got this $8 level breakout. So my first question is, okay, short float, I know it looks good, but are you looking at this like, it's got to take out that $8 from last year? Or are you looking at it like, it's close to that high, so long's into it? What would be the thesis? Because I usually think with a squeeze name, when it's like an 18, 19% or 30%, I just really like the breakouts. Let it just run the stops. I don't need to get cute with it. What's your take here? Does it change your approach because it's 18% short?
Yeah, and I think this is a perfect example, perfect contrast to Wingstop. So, we looked at the monthly chart of Wingstop, and it was this slow grind higher over 5 years. And that's going to kind of tailor my opinion on how I'm going to trade it. I'm okay with holding something like that for a long period of time. I'm not a fundamental guy, but if you look at something like Wingstop, they're profitable, they have cash on hand, and, it's just safer, quote unquote, business.
Right.
And the chart reflects that. It's a nice slow mover. So I'm okay with being quick with that. But like you mentioned, I totally agree. Something like Rocket Lab, I want this thing to break this kind of 775, and then, like you were talking about, this $8 back here level quickly. I want that to really hurt the shorts, and then have those shorts have to run for the hills and make that trade happen like that. But I know this is more of a story type trade, so I want that to happen quickly. I want to get in, I want to get the short squeeze, and I want to take my money and get out. And a lot of that is, you can just see by the chart itself. It makes these runs, and then sometimes these pretty quick pullbacks. And same with that little thing at 8, had that massive run to 8, and then this massive pullback. So quite often you can just look back on the chart and look at the history and how the stock trades to know whether or not this is something that you're going to want to get in quick, get out quick, and then what kind of play it is. So a high short float play, I want it to get in. I want it to hopefully break $8 very, very quickly, and I want it to get out. But this is going to do a lot with the theme of space, right? So ASTS.
Right.
All of these names are going to kind of move together in some respect. I just think this ASTS is a little bit overdone. So for me, I'm looking at this Rocket Lab. Maybe some of the space people who got rich off this one, they moved some money into that. But yeah, there's one thing that's just a nice trend following play and looking to hold that for weeks or maybe months. And then there's something like Rocket Labs that I could be in and out of in days. Hopefully, if it works, breaks through, and then I could be out in 2 or 3 days.
Well, what's crazy, and I know to even mention something, excuse me, fundamental with a stock at 18% short is kind of blasphemy, but this is a stat that you brought up ASTS, and I cannot speak about that stock or have it be brought up without pointing out something. So Rocket Labs trades at 11 times sales. ASTS trades at 3,000 times sales.
Yeah.
Which is pretty unheard of. So when you say maybe people that have made money in one want to put it somewhere else, like a squeeze name or something adjacent, which actually for a short float, high short float name, 11 times sales isn't actually all that ridiculous, but 3,000 certainly is. And so a lot of times when money goes from one place to the other, we've talked about it in the meme craze. Sometimes GME money goes to Chewy, and then Chewy money goes into Carvana. That ASTS profit that people I would imagine are just dying to grab onto because it's been such a ridiculous one. Going into Rocket Labs, you could do a heck of a lot worse. And I'm not harping on. I don't want to get this misconstrued. Like anyone that made money on ASTS, I think it's been fantastic of a run. Congratulations to all of them. I can't really make 2 cents of. Like, there's always a point to which a company's gone too far that it's like, I can't even make sense of going long into it. And I feel like that reached it a long time ago. Rocket Labs, on the other hand, to me, still has something that it could do which can profit us as traders. And as I say that, I mean, ASTS is actually still above its 50 200 period moving averages. It's not really giving all that much back. 50% retracement could be on tap for that one. Michael, any other thoughts you wanted to be able to get to in here? I appreciate you going over the Rocket Labs trades again. Obviously, congratulations on that great call on both Wingstop and on UNG. But outside of maybe looking at that Rocket Labs, anything new that you have going on before we get you out of here?
I'm still interested in China. It's been a play that's worked for me. I know I talked about Baba and JD, some of the bigger guys, kind of in this area that I've got up here on the chart, so in around the $80 area. However, so I've been talking about this trade wave indicator that we have a lot, which is a trend following indicator. And we know with trend following indicators that they will work and they'll get you out of bad trades quickly and they'll get you, keep you in good trades longer. But we also know with trend following indicators, if you're going to get in a range and get stuck in a range, you're going to get chopped up, and that's you're going to get nickel and dimed a little bit. So we built a scan for this. We're still working on this. So I'm kind of teasing everybody here. You can email me or reach out on Twitter if you'd like this. And what it's doing is it's just showing things that have new buy tickets today. So as I'm going through it, I'm thinking in my head which ones I think have the potential to trend. And I saw two China names that I'll highlight real quickly. So one here is Momo. This is Hello Group. Down a lot from its high, like a lot of China names. However, it's been working pretty well. And you can always bring up this little panel right here, and it will tell you if TradeWave has been working or not. Trade this. If you had been trading it with this, and you would have made a kind of modest 6% on a stock that's not really doing too much of anything. So did a little buy tag here. I see a potential trend change. I saw that in the green room when you were talking about that with the weed names that could be breaking out. So I'm looking at that one. The other one here is LU. Don't know what these guys do, but it's just getting absolutely killed from $50 a share down to $2. Put in this what could be a nice looking low base or rounded bottom, and put in a little buy tag there as well with 5 days to cover. The short float's not super high, but 5 days to cover is pretty substantial. Yeah. So some Chinese names that are more speculative, right? Baba and JD are going to be, your big guys. They're probably not going to go to 1 million or to 0. These ones are a little bit more speculative with Momo and LU, but if China, which, you're looking at KWeb, still looks good, it's still relatively strong to the market over the last week or so. So I like the look of these names if they can continue, but I just want to preface, A, they're little tiny companies, and then B, they're from China. So both those things mean that they're risky, which just means that, you would size something like that way lower than you would size something like Baba.
Yeah, thank you very much. But I actually want to point out, speaking about KWeb, what I actually really like about KWeb right now, breaking that out like it's currently doing, it made a death cross, the 50 crossing the 200, and proceeded to immediately make a recovery off the bottom after that. And anytime a stock decides to technically break out after giving a short signal, I like the breakout even better, because as far as I'm concerned, somebody's caught short that when you have a death cross, or at least you've probably rinsed some weak hands out of there. Either way, that's going to be bullish. So thank you for final thoughts. You never cease to amaze us. You always have something out there in the pocket. Michael Noss from Trade Ideas. We'll talk to you again on Friday, see how these Chinese names are going, see how Rocket Lab is going. Congratulations on Wingstop and obviously that UNG. Nice runner there. Appreciate it, Michael.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, big thank you and shout out to the NOS boss himself. And yeah, that KWeb looks pretty interesting. Look, obviously it's been a pretty hot start to the week, but it's going to be a wild one still. We've got earnings on Wednesday with Micron, and on Thursday we're going to have Costco as well. But on a daily basis, we have a little something we like to do at the end of our day, and that's going to be the roll call. So, first off, I want to make sure, if you want to be in the roll call, I should say this every single time. If you want to be in the roll call, we got a subscribers only chat. So you got to be in the chat. Just send a message. I'll see your name. I'll rhyme it off as fast as I can. Sometimes people put some funny names in there trying to get me to slip up and say something wrong. You ain't going to catch me. I'm too slick like that. It's not going to happen. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, get your name in the chat so we can do a little roll call. But I always start it off by thanking the one and the only Bears versus Bulls. Shout out to Bears versus Bulls, the best moderator in the chat. We couldn't do what we do without you. The entire team here, obviously, I want to shout out. And once again, acknowledge Ramin being early on Wingstop. Michael had a great trade. Ramin's been on Wingstop from time. Trust me, we hear about it all the time. Thank you. What? It's true, Ramin. You've been talking about Wingstop for a hot minute. So great look, great stop. But let's get this roll call started. I'm gonna start at the top. I just saw you, Neo Rob. Maybe gone, but it's right back in here. Spark as well. Hey, Davis in the chat. Easy peasy. Eli 7721. Penguin Dynasty. Bristol. Moy Castano. Blue Arrow. Lava. Mary S. Hyman. We got Midnight in the Ocean. We got Darwin and Mashworth. Fluffy Hippo. Fluffy is here. What up? Bears versus Bulls. Paco O.R. Bala Krish. We got Bora Hout. We got Bookie Mondo. Oh my goodness. And this is why Oh, okay, let me finish this. You can't put chocolate in front of me. You can't do this to me, Ramin. There's chocolate in front of me and I want to eat it so badly. Nashworth, CompuCare team, JI94 Games, Fat Figure in the house, Jai Singh, D. Westermeyer just gifted me 42. That's my lucky number. That's my number, my baseball number. Love you, Mr. Westermeyer. Kittronics, Blue Arrow, Mike Breeze, Jill Wattenberg. I don't think I've seen Jill Wattenberg, and this seems like a new one. Welcome to the chat. If you've been here before, then thank you for coming back. K Fry, easy peasy again. Travel Buddy, Midnight in the Ocean again. We got Yannick Patel, Happy Zombie, Anik Sardar, Jatin Varma, Rivian again, Fluffy again, Andrew Chow, Shane D, Finch Jane, Michelle in the chat, Bob Dubs, Hot Dogs. Ooh, I will love hot dogs tonight too. Carlton Lockley, Ron Heller, Howell Capital Trading. Nice try, bold. Jazz Free in the chat, and we've also got Graph 808. Pretty sure we got them all. And a big shout out and a thank you to Ramin, who is always so kind and gracious to make sure that she feeds my sweet tooth. I have a habit. I cannot stop eating treats, but I'll do that off camera. The best thing about everything here at Trader TV Live and the best thing about our trading community, we get to have this fun every single day. So it's only Monday. It's been a great start to the week. We get to do it all again tomorrow morning. So you know what that means, everybody? Come back right here, 8:30 in the morning. We're Trader TV Live, and we'll see you tomorrow.